my family, we had like a little business growing up. So I was always kind of around food along those lines. And there was a funny thing of my mom was big into like the kitchen and all that stuff. And I always wanted to kind of go in there. And she told me, she's like, listen, if you want to be part of the kitchen, you have to be in here for 15 hours. You really want to do that? And this was back in the 90s. When chefs and all that weren't as glorified as there was now. There was no like, yeah, you're going to be on TV. It's like, you're in a chef, you're in the kitchen. You're not really going to get that much recognition. So I kind of focused a little bit more on the outside in terms of front of the house and everything, and like helped out. I went to school for more corporate business, kind of a little bit more front of the house. But I've always had the idea of opening my own restaurant or opening my own anything. So it was mainly along those lines that I set these goals. Like later on, I'm going to open something. So what's going to help me get to that point?
Yeah. He's swimming through his own subconscious. He's thinking. He's embodying his true self.
Swimming through my own subconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the name of my True Hollywood story. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's your motherfucking boy, Gamero, the Pharaoh, the poor man's Robert De Niro. You know what I'm talking about, bald version. I am also very ecstatic, so very joyous. It's another beautiful Thursday at midnight or Sunday afternoon if we're talking about real time. You know what I'm talking about? And it's another episode. Another beautiful episode of Midnight in Miami. You know what I'm talking about? That you can check out on YouTube, because yeah, you can check out the Spotify. You can check out the Apple Podcast. You can check out the Deezer and all that good stuff. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, you need to check out the YouTube, because that's how you get the visuals. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get to see this man's beautiful beard. You know what I'm talking about? God, that's symmetrical. God, that's beautiful. You get to see the food up close and personal. You know, the stars of the show today. And it's another beautiful day. You know what I'm talking about? Ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce the illustrious guest that we have, joining us today, there is a face and a magnificent mustache that has to be addressed, as well as the attire. I love those colors. That color scheme is, dare I say, magnificent. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us today for the first time ever as a guest co-host, we have Gabe in his house.
So, yeah,
Gabe.
I have not earned as many monikers as you have, but I hope that in what I do here today, I will earn at least one.
Oh, bro, you're G-hole to me, bro. And I'll tell you that off rip. You know what I'm saying? You can put that on my tombstone. You know?
First one, G-hole.
Amen, amen. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, behind the cameras, you know what I'm talking about? We have a man, he's got an artistic shirt on today. You know what I'm saying? What is that? Art? Oh my God, that's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? The man right here, he took his name, boom, split it in half, made a cool nickname out of it. Boom, you know what I'm saying? You can call him Cruz. We got Cruz in his house. What's going on, Cruz? How you living?
Chilling, vibing, working, getting the bag.
Getting the bag. We see that by the, artistic t-shirt that you have on. Beautiful, beautiful shirt. The man, you know what I'm saying, he keeps the cameras on.
Thank
you know
you,
what I'm saying? If you're looking at us and all of a sudden you're not looking at us, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? And ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute honor to be able to introduce the guest that we have today. You know, to be able to dive into your own culinary experience is a facet not easy to anyone. It is a challenge from beginning to end of day, and few people know the turmoils and the sacrifices that you need to make in order to be successful. Ladies and gentlemen, from Gorilla City, we have joining us Julian Uribe! Julian, thank you so much for joining us, brother. How is everything? I like that. Yeah. Very classy. First of all, we gotta thank you for this beautiful assortment before us today. The trays, you know what I'm saying? Because at first, boom, we'll start. Oh, there's no trays. We'll wait for the trays. You know what I'm saying? Because you need that presentation.
He had a tray guy.
Oh, you need a. Oh, bro, you need to have a
Tray girl.
bro. Hey, it's 2021. Tray person. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's not get it crazy. Julian, talk to us about, before we obviously get into the stars of the show. Julian, how'd you start? How'd Gorilla City come to be? Talk to us about the roots.
Wow. Well, it's a very, very, I guess for me anyways, a deep story, So, I guess to make a long story a little shorter, my family, we had like a little business growing up. So I was always kind of around food. Along those lines, and there was a funny thing of my mom was big into like the kitchen and all that stuff, and I always wanted to kind of go in there. And she told me, she's like, listen, if you want to be part of the kitchen, you have to be in here for 15 hours. You really want to do that? And this was back in the 90s when chefs and all that weren't as glorified as there was now. There was no like, you're gonna be on TV. You're gonna be. It's like you're in a chef. You're in the kitchen. You're not really gonna get that much recognition. So I kind of focused a little bit more on the outside in terms of front of the house and everything, and like helped out. I went to school for more corporate business, kind of a little bit more front of the house. But I've always had the idea of opening my own restaurant or opening my own anything. So it was mainly along those lines that I set these goals. Like later on, I'm going to open something. So what's going to help me get to that point? So throughout all that, I was always looking in the industry wise, where I can go, what I can benefit from, who I can work with. And it was just kind of a long line, kind of getting to that point. And just eventually it came to a point that I couldn't do anything but open my own spot. And I ended up being in the kitchen because ironically enough, I've never really worked in the kitchen under a chef before I actually opened this. It was all front of the house, but because I was a student of the game and I really loved the industry, I've always had chefs as friends. Every time I go on vacation, I like to eat, study what this is, looking at flavor profiles, working on the palate. So it was a little bit of an easier transition to get in there once I started creating my own recipes and kind of doing that. And the barbecue portion of it was something that I got into through an old partner of mine.
Okay.
Yeah. So shout out to Zach.
Big shout out.
Yeah. So Zach Swanson from Unbranded, we kind of had a partnership. We were going to open a brewery together, and it was kind of it was going to be Texas based, all that stuff. And we came together and we were like, what's going to make this big? Let me learn the barbecue aspect, so at least I know what's going on in the business. Because in business, if anybody's either has one or is aspiring to do it, you should know everything about your business. So that was a big thing. So I started learning it, and I took like 3 to 4 years of really diving into it and getting into it. And then unfortunately, the partnership kind of dissolved, as certain things do. Relationships, business kind of just happens. Mutual, beneficial. We're still, you're still friends.
Right.
But I had this skill, and I decided to, I'm going to do it small. I'm going to do it myself. And then I just went into the barbecue, meat, sandwiches, kind of a little bit of everything.
Very cool. Very cool. You speak about going to school for business and more so for front of the house aspects. What really was it difficult for you to acknowledge that maybe you had a deeper passion being in the kitchen as opposed to the business side of things, or is it a balance for you?
For me, it's a balance. I knew, especially having my family have the business, how big the business side was in order for you to be successful. So I was able to see that. And I went in kind of also thinking like, hey, I want to make my family business a little better too, Right. So let me go to, and I actually had a friend or two that went to culinary school, and they're like, listen, culinary school is very specific. If you want to know about a little bit more well-rounded business, go to an actual business school where they'll teach you about business law, corporate, taxes, like a lot more things that aren't just focused on hospitality. So I went to an actual just straight up business school, and then I got a minor in psychology because I knew I had to deal with employees. So you need to have as much
Culinary employees.
Culinary and front of the house.
Yeah.
Why?
Front of the house employees are sometimes a little bit more.
Yeah, Gabe, why is there an emphasis on culinary employees?
The culinary world is really assembled of a group of essentially social pirates.
Yes.
And
for sure.
Managing them takes a little bit more than a hat and a parrot. It's quite a challenge to like organize a lot of those egos and stuff like that. And but when it comes together, good things can happen. So that's why it's.
Yes.
I think that's an interesting aspect of what you do. But yeah.
Yeah. So that was the whole thing about it, is going into an industry where you have the hospitality industry is such a unique industry, whereas. And like I got my master's in hospitality as well after, and I was lucky enough to go to Europe to do that because I wanted to get the European feel for it. But even in Europe, I realized that it's a matter of you have to take a different mindset when you're managing anything in hospitality, because at least a third of your employees want to be there. A third of them. They want to be there. This is the industry they want to go, and
because they have a passion for it.
They have a passion for it. But that's the thing. It's one of the only industries that only like a third have that passion. About 2/3 are either passing through, or it's the only job that they can get.
Right.
Because so I always break it down into the third. So the third want to be their passion. They want your job as a manager or in the kitchen or whatever it may be. The other third are doing it because they're either going to school or doing something on the side, and this, in terms of schedule wise, they can do it and make some money and make decent money, but they're only doing it as a holdover. And then the other third are the druggies, the people that either are like have some other passion but they can't really get into it or don't know what, and so they're ending up to it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but they're not completely in it, and they're loyal mainly just to themselves. So if another restaurant opens, they're going to go to that one because that one pays more. If another restaurant opens, they're going to move it. So it's the people that you see kind of moving around. So it's very difficult when you go into managing.
It's one of the industries with the biggest turnaround as far as employees, correct?
I'm not quite sure the statistics in terms of turnover, but
It'll be up there.
It's pretty high.
Right.
Yeah, it's and also the dynamic between front and the back of the house is different, because front of the house makes decent amount of money and the back of the house doesn't.
Right.
And the amount of work that the back of the house does compared to the front of the house. So you always see a dynamic with front and back of the house, which is crazy.
I have noticed that. That's a very real thing. What do you think there's any solution to that at all, or?
Well, I think the pandemic has definitely brought out a lot of these things, brought it at least to the forefront so people can see that the industry is so difficult and the pay is so low for what everybody does, that that everybody's starting to see that the restaurants they're going to, and they're complaining about the prices, or the menu prices are a little too high, or I don't want to go there because I'm spending too much. It's like one of those things is like the economies of scale are very different. Like a lot of restaurants, you have to, the cost of the food that you bring in and the margins that you get, and also the labor, it's very difficult to have a really, really good product and charge really, really low prices for it. Like you can't. So you see a lot of restaurants that cut either they don't care too much about the labor, so you have shitty service.
Right.
Or they don't care too much about the food, so they have shitty product.
Shout out Buffalo Wild Wings, bro. I'm not even gonna get into that, bro. Shit, bro. I'm not even gonna get into that. I'll get heated.
So it's crazy, but the whole thing with the gratuity and the tips, like that's another revenue stream that comes in. But some people even yell about that. I don't know. Did you guys hear about the whole experiment that Danny Myers did with the whole restaurant that actually isn't charging gratuity? Their prices are actually higher on the menu, but that includes the gratuity that you're supposed to put in. But that failed.
Did it?
Yeah, because the mentality of people when they go, it's like they're just trying to always find a bargain for what they're trying to get the best meal they can at the lowest price. And listen, I'm not gonna say that I don't do that sometimes either. I'm like, ooh, $23. Oh, and it's like, who cares? Just pay for it, you know. So like, it's just built into us, especially in a capitalistic economy. I think sometimes that we just strive to kind of get the best deal for what it is, but in reality, with restaurants and everything that comes into it, you kind of just have to let go and just be like, I'm here for the experience, whatever it is, or whatever I'm gonna have to pay, as long as I get a good experience. If it's not good, then I'm just not gonna come back. But those restaurants that you go in, it kind of changes your whole outlook on everything, either the food or the service or whatever. It's like, here's my wallet, whatever it should be.
So do you guys think that the, random hole in the wall in Hialeah, that you get a massive plate of food for, $10 or whatever, is that always going to be in business?
Oh, for sure. That is always going to be in business, especially propping it up by myself, because
it's and it's appreciated that they're always going to be in business.
It's really because it just fits that dynamic that sometimes you just want to eat and you want to spend $15 and you want to get really good meal. I think it works more down here in Miami just because we grew up with rice and beans and those big dishes and stuff.
Food by the pound.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like, like if you grow up in any family and you have 2 or 3 brothers and sisters, your mom and your grandma or your dad or whoever is making actually a big pot of rice, a big pot of beans, and like it's the cheapest, but it's also in terms of flavor wise, it's like, and nutrition wise, it's actually a pretty good way of kind of feeding a big family.
Right. Shout out Sam's Club.
And nostalgic.
Yeah. So a lot of those things are nostalgic, and I don't think that's going anywhere. And I think they're actually going to probably grow more than anything. If there's one in every corner, so I don't know if there's a place to grow, but it's definitely a spot that there's like little niches for it.
Right.
I think right now the big thing that's a little bit more difficult is that medium tier restaurant, especially in Miami, because our population is not as big as everybody thinks it is. Because we're 4 million Miami-Dade County. But that's 4 million between Florida City and freaking Hollywood, and across to Doral. And, there's people that don't even want to go from Miami to Doral. Like I had such a hard time getting people to come here and just try my food.
Oh, wow.
At Tripping Animals, because they're like, it's so far. I'm like, it's only 15 minutes on a highway.
Bro, I can't use that excuse. I'll tell you that. I'm like, Julian, bro, that's far. That's a drive, dog.
Yeah. Hollywood might as well be freaking Saturn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'll take a damn road trip to Orlando before I go to Fort Lauderdale, boy.
And wave at Fort Lauderdale on the way.
So it's difficult in terms of that sense. But when in comparison to big cities like Chicago, LA, New York, we're sometimes put in there. But you look at New York, 23 million, 8 million only in Manhattan. It's like, okay, you have restaurants, but you have a huge amount of people that even have disposable income and that can go out.
Right.
Miami proper, that people know, which is South Beach and downtown and all that, it's less than 1 million people.
Wow.
How many restaurants are there? It's like Wynwood and downtown. Like all the good restaurants are concentrated there, but everybody's fighting for the same pocketbook, for the same wallet. And so there's people that go out maybe 2 or 3 times, but it's very difficult. And that was something when I was in the industry here, it was like, as in the management side, it's like, how are we going to attract people? And the medium tier, sometimes the high tiers, they get all the tourists that have a lot of money, but the medium tiers are struggling to kind of get people and go out there. And that's why I think social media and a lot of the other stuff, you can tell which ones are doing better. They're the ones that actually have more of that presence and the following.
Right.
I think also the medium tier ones, because they feel that pressure, that they usually turn to a gimmick of some sort.
Yes.
And they'll be like, we do like Thirsty Thursdays here or whatever, and then like live music on this day. And,
we're having brunches with goats and shit.
Yeah,
like, you
exactly.
know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly. And I think at the end of the day, that ends up like hurting them in terms of like, what they're truly offering.
Yes. Right.
And I think the focus might be on the wrong thing. So I completely agree that the mid-tier restaurants are.
What would you say
treading water?
Should the focus be on the service and on the food and not a gimmick? What would
100%. I hate gimmicks. I'm old school. Like anybody that does semi gimmicky something other than what they're trying to put out.
Dining
for me,
in the dark.
Yeah. There's some people that do it really well and some people that love that, and that's great, 100%. But in order for you to really get the true experience of the chef or the owner that's trying to put out, because for me, restaurants and food is an extension of me. Like, this is you coming to my house and I'm going to feed you, and this is my backyard or my living room, and this is what I want you to get. And I want every individual person to get that feeling the same time over. And I think when you're doing a gimmick, you're doing something that is not necessarily what you're putting out. So you could kind of skate a little bit on the essentials, which is the food and the service and the atmosphere. You're just like, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. Here's some food.
Right.
Hey, look at me. And some people like that. And the problem is with Miami is that sells here. Right. So you see a lot of people kind of like going around that route, and a lot of new restaurants and all that stuff. They're like, no, forget what chef it is or whoever. We have to make sure that we do these brunches with lights and drag everywhere.
Because it's Insta-worthy. Yeah.
So it's Insta-worthy and things for Instagram. And it's very difficult here to kind of stand out if you don't necessarily have too much of those gimmicks or that presence to be in your face and be like, hey, look at me too. I have good food.
Yeah. Do you guys think that being a gimmick can stretch into the food as well? For example, I remember we had gone to I forgot the name of the restaurant, but they had deconstructed key lime pie.
Oh, it was Bazaar.
Bazaar, yes.
R.I.P.
Well, there you go.
Close?
Yeah.
They did?
Okay.
I had no idea.
Well, that's why.
Well, I actually, I at first I was like, okay, I thought it was gimmicky, but then when I actually tasted it, I did have an experience. I did, it was something different. Do you think that the gimmick can stretch into the food, or is it solely the activities that go along with it?
Well, I think gimmicky food is a little bit more, I think deconstructed and things that you're doing different with the food is kind of more of an experimentation. That's something kind of cool if you're doing it in the sense that, hey, listen, I want you to try this key lime. But in reality, I want you to put the flavors together in your own way. Kind of, that's what I think of deconstructed is like, because I've had a deconstructed tiramisu, which was because usually tiramisu you get it kind of like a slice, but this is yeah, it's like a little bit here, a little bit there. But then if you put it all together, I think it's cool. But I've seen some gimmicky like putting something in like a Doritos bag, and then you have a Doritos bag, and then you pour it somewhere. Like that's a little bit more gimmicky, which isn't too bad. Because you're trying to do something a little different. So gimmicky with food is a little bit more if this is what you're trying to do and you're doing it right. Like, that's the thing. If it's gimmicky and you're just throwing, like, nachos and cheese and something and just, like, here.
Firework.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, firework. But yeah, I think the gimmicky more stands out towards, like, what the restaurant's actually doing as an aesthetic and kind of the imagery and the people that they're hiring and putting out there, which I think here also, like the restaurants that kind of double as nightclubs and all that stuff, I feel that that's the gimmick. It's like, oh, come here, but it's also a party. It's like,
right.
It's not a restaurant.
Shout out Koyo Tacos. You know what I'm saying? What are your 2 cents on that?
Well, yeah, I feel like I couldn't have said it better myself. I think that could leak into the food for sure.
Yeah.
However, if it's intentional and thought out, like, my plate of food could look like a freaking circus, but if it means something when you put it in your mouth or like what it's doing to you, then that adds to the artistic element of the meal.
Yeah.
So, so a lot of people say that a restaurant like Alinea is it's very performative. So, however, each element that they're doing, even if they're doing something super wacky to the food, it tells a story or even adds to the dish.
Yeah.
Like if you put foam on a plate just because foam is cool, that's gimmicky. Yeah. But if you put foam on a plate because it is a lighter way to introduce a really harsh flavor into your mouth, then that's something else. That's intentional and that's art.
Yeah.
Right.
And the artistic part of food. I don't want to be like.
Well, I feel that it is art. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
It's just because going off the Alinea thing, Alinea came down here to Miami. I don't know if you remember, about like 5 years ago.
I remember.
So Alinea came down here because they were. So Alinea is a restaurant in Chicago, best restaurant in the U.S. for like 4 years running, top 5 in the world. Chef. Chef. Oh, I forgot his name.
Grant Atkins.
Grant. Yes, Chef Grant.
I love the knowledge going on here.
Yeah. So they came down here to test new flavors because they wanted to do a little bit more of a tropic type of menu. But they came down here and they sold it. But just an example of the gimmicky thing, his dessert, he literally covers the table in this like film, and then just starts throwing like chocolate and other sauces, and there's this like ball of meringue that they do in nitrogen, but he just crashes it in the middle.
It's like
and
a Rembrandt.
Yes, exactly. But everything is so well thought out that it's like it's art for us.
And it's like theater, but including more senses at that point. Like theater that you can smell and taste and experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Actually, that brings me to my next subject. 2 people that have such highly elevated palates and appreciate food so much, and that's facts. That's facts. And that's come with hard work. There you go. Pinkies up. Classy. You saw it on the camera. With elevated palates, you guys get to appreciate food to a different extent. Is there a fine line between going to a restaurant like I had been describing, a hole in the wall, $10, $15 in Hialeah, and an experience, a masterpiece or a masterclass in the culinary arts that is not going to be $10 or $15. Do you guys appreciate the $10 or $15 plate less? Do you expect to have the extravagant meal on the regular? Is it not regular? Talk to me about that.
So with my extremely elevated palate, I like to. It's just one of those things that I think when the whole thing about an elevated palate is just you've just tried a lot of different flavors, but actually thought about them. So you're actually tasting something and you're like, okay. And also a big thing is balance. That I think the big thing is the acidity aspect to it and how it balances with something. It's just seeing if a dish is well balanced is a big thing, I guess, with the palate thing that I've experienced through going around and kind of trying things. And you can actually see when a dish is kind of a little bit unbalanced, or it's missing a little something, or it needs a little bit of salt and whatever. But to go with your point is like, I think that I appreciate the hole in the walls that actually kind of do it right a little bit more. And I'm like, God, they made this rice so good, because they added the right amount of butter or the right amount of salt or whatever it may be. And then the beans, like, oh, these beans are really good. Mm-hmm. Yes, sometimes you go to a place and you're like, wow, these beans suck. Whereas it used to be my favorite place, and now you're like, oh, they're a little off. They didn't try today. But at the same time, the hole in the walls, you realize how good these people are cooking. It's just, I guess, going back to the previous point, they don't have a gimmick. They don't care, really. They're just like, this is the food. I'm just making it because all I need to live is $40,000. I don't care. Yeah. This is my passion. So you realize that some of these people are just out there just cooking, doing it right, and it's $15. You're like, I'll be back here every week. So it's mainly appreciating that aspect to it. I use it more just to always taste my food and always make sure that also going back to a lot of other points is just when I want you to come to my house or my business, I want you to try my food today. It's the same thing, and then you love it, and then you bring your boy. Or your girl.
Right.
And then you guys come and you're like, oh, talking this up. Like, I hate going to a place and I talk up and then I go and the food is completely off or a little different and it's the same dish. It's like, that to me is kind of like, oh man, you just made me look so bad. Type of thing that's in your head. And then you're not really going to go back there again, So it's all about the consistency. And I think when you focus on the palate and the flavor of things, you're able to keep that consistent throughout, because my brisket's going to taste the same this year, next year, and the following year.
The consistency, boy.
What a great advertisement.
It really is, though.
Way to slide
That's a mini video. That's an Instagram mini video.
Bam.
God, I love it.
I think testament to that about how developed palate or whatever. I think it really is just that we're conscious of what we're tasting and what we're looking for. So I think testament to that is, I'm sure you have. Have you ever eaten something that you don't like, but you can appreciate it and you find it interesting? You're like, oh, yeah. I see what they did. This is done really well. This is just not for me.
Yes.
And that's really a testament to just not eating something and just enjoying it with your senses. You just enjoy it up here. Like, oh man, that's perfectly balanced. It's just not for me.
What's an example that comes to mind for you personally? Or Julian as well?
For me it's something that's not really prepared, but uni. For me is, I try uni and I'm just like, I can't really enjoy it the way it's something that is nice, delicious, but I try it and I'm like, I know this tastes so good, but I just don't like it. Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like,
I completely understand. I mean, I've been going through what I've been calling a hot dog renaissance.
Ooh.
Oh.
I have never liked hot dogs from a child. I've hated them.
Wow.
I just ate them and I even in my body reacted to it like it tastes like vomit. Wow. That's how bad I disliked it. And then I spent my entire life just hating and avoiding hot dogs.
Yeah.
And then I went to Chicago.
Oh.
And
Chi-town.
I had some random ass shitbox fucking Chicago dog, and I was like, I was like, oh my god, that electric green relic. I fucking understood it. Yeah. It connected for me, and I swear to God, I feel like I still taste what I tasted when I was younger. But I feel like I understand it now.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's good. And I've been craving I don't know if you know this, but you can't get fucking sport peppers and electric green relish here.
Well, have you been to Dogma?
Oh, yeah, well, yes. I mean to make them myself.
They do. Oh, okay.
By the way, great name, by the way. Great name.
Dogma,
Dogma makes pretty good dogs.
Yeah. Shout out for sure. They're definitely the closest that I've gotten to up there.
Wow.
But yeah, so definitely that's a testament to me, I think I willed myself into liking hot dogs.
That's
just
beautiful.
because I tried to understand them. So yeah.
When I was a kid, bro, I used to hate olives. But now I'm a fan, man. And now I'm a fan. Cruz, I know he hates olives. Cruz, are you one to, go for the low buck, the good deal? Or will you splurge? You know what I'm saying? Will you dabble into the artistic realm of culinary arts?
I'm not going to front. Nah, I do go for
that $5 footlong, baby.
Yeah, the $1 McChicken.
Oh, that's nutrition.
4 for $4 Wendy's bullshit.
That's a nutritionist right there.
Yeah, it's not nothing to be proud of, but
Amen.
the food we have here is
significantly above that. Yeah.
It's like insane.
Oh,
Insane.
I cannot wait.
Insane.
That's him being like, hey, can we get to the food?
Wow,
He's like,
Secretly in charge.
producer right there.
yeah, that's producer, bro. That's producer right there. God, that's beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week, you know what I'm talking about? We have three segments. You know what I'm talking about? And the first one is actually called Mail Time. You know what I'm talking about? And in this beautiful segment, we ask our illustrious guest three questions that you yourself have submitted. You know what I'm saying? So every Saturday, you go on the Instagram, bro. Go on the Instagram, Instagram.com/Midnight in Miami. Hit us that follow, and you yourself, you can ask us the questions for our guests. You know what I'm saying? And here we go. Also, I have not read these beforehand, so if they get a little perverted, I'm sorry.
Oh my
you know
goodness.
Oh man.
You know,
My meat's only for eating.
you know how people get. All right, Julian. Who are some of your culinary inspirations, dead or alive?
Wow, that's a big one. Well, I could be cliche and just say Anthony Bourdain,
Big
but
shouts.
I think he's turned into the patron saint of like exactly. Pour one a little out. I think growing up, I wasn't really that into the restaurant in terms of front and back of the house, but like when I started learning a little bit about the kitchen and kind of going in and just the people around me, I really looked at, you know, I had Paula De Silva, shout out to her. She works up north right now at the Ritz-Carlton, like Connor, Chef Connor, Andrew Carmelini from New York. These are restaurants that I was working at, and Carmelini is actually kind of taking over New York right now. He's kind of killing it up there. And I kind of look at them a little bit in terms of their work, I guess, their process of how they get to work and how they do everything, and the difficultness of running a line, running a kitchen, and also because some of these restaurants were in hotels, is like dealing with the bureaucracy, dealing with the Chef Thomas too. He was the executive chef of the Ritz-Carlton, one of the first restaurants I worked at. And he was incredible in terms of being able to hold down 7 restaurants or 6 or 7 restaurants and just everybody and doing it in a way that everything's running efficiently, the costs are low. Because I was always kind of that nerd just looking at all that, be like, oh, wow, he kept his costs down to like, 21%. That's incredible, type of thing. It's like, he's like, banquets, my friend, banquets. Because if you don't know banquets, you can upcharge a lot more. But yes, culinary wise, I wasn't really too into the world until like recently. So I wouldn't say in terms of growing up was too much of an inspiration from like some of the celebrities that people would know, but these are personal chefs of mine that I looked at in terms of every day coming in and the food that they were putting out and the way they ran their kitchens. That was very inspiring from that sense.
Very cool. Very cool. Second question from our Mail Time segment. Where did you learn to smoke meats? And how long did it take you to perfect it?
So, again, Zach taught me how to smoke. I remember doing the first brisket. So the thing is with barbecue, it's more about patience than actual recipes. So essentially smoking is just roasting meats in an oven that you build the fire for. So it's very primitive in a lot of ways. It's very cool when you're doing it in brisket. It's kind of one of the hardest ones because it's like a 15 to 18 pound piece of meat. Usually that's what you want to use. And you have to do low and slow, as probably a lot of people hear. But in order for you to cook a piece of meat that big, you need about 14 hours at about 220 and 250 degrees. And when you're making your own fire for it, it's very difficult to hold it steady at that temperature for that long. So it was a process of just learning through it and going through trial and error. And it's a lot trial and error. And anybody that smoked brisket knows that they've messed up their first 2 or 3 of them. And they don't know why, so they go back and do it over and over again. But Zach really put me along that path of really showing me how to do it, and then reading a lot of books. Like Meathead is a big guy that his nickname is Meathead in the barbecue world. I read Aaron Franklin, and then I went to Texas for a month, and I worked under Ronnie Killen. He has a restaurant called Killen's Barbecue, and he has a lot of experience. He's actually a guy that came from luxury from Ritz-Carlton, and then he's like, I want to make my own barbecue. But now he has a steakhouse. He has a hybrid with steakhouse barbecue.
He's a legend.
Yeah, he's killing it in Houston. And I got to work with him for a month because I called him up. I was like, hey, Do you want somebody to work for free for a month? Because it's a stage, that you just go and you work for free, but you get the experience of working there. So I was able to go to Houston, and I worked for a month at Killen's in the smokehouse in the middle of August in Texas.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fun. And his 3 pitmasters, well, he has 1 pitmaster and two workers, and they're 3 Mexican guys, which were the best.
Shout out Mexico.
Yeah,
bro.
Exactly. Especially, I wish we had more Mexican workers here. They're such hardworking, so humble and everything. But these guys were just in there, just in the pit. Like, they have these 2 huge smokers that fit 1,800 pounds of meat each. And you just go, and the fire is working pretty much 24/7. So there's a guy that comes in that starts the fire at midnight, and then one comes in at 6, and then one comes in like midday, and you're just always putting in meat. And like Friday, Saturday, we would go through like 60 to 70 briskets a day.
Wow.
So being in that process, you just start looking and learning and just feeling out. And you're like, oh, okay. So it's a little bit more about just your own process of how to do it and working on that process and making sure that you're consistent with it. Because fire is not very forgiving. Like, you have to feed it perfectly. Like, it has to have the right amount of oxygen. You need to have the right amount of, like, if it's windy, if it's not windy, how's the humidity, what type of wood are you using? So once you start getting comfortable with the fire and the wood itself, you start realizing that you can start playing a little bit more with the meat side of it or whatever. But it's kind of like a dance that you have to get. That's why, again, I go back to a lot of people say it's not really about the recipe in barbecue. It's about your process and you yourself, because anybody can make barbecue, but it's you doing it consistently over and over again and making it right that kind of works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. And ladies and gentlemen, the last question from our Mail Time segment is, what's led you to run your own business?
So this was starting off with my mother. So she opened her own business when I was 11, and she's like single mom, 2 kids, kind of American dream very much for the part. She opened her own business. It's still running. It's been 28 years.
Go mom.
Wow.
That she still
That's
has
a testament right there.
Yeah. So it's one of those things that when you're in it, that's kind of the only thing you know, and you're like, this is what I want to do. Well, initially it's like, I want to help out my mom and do whatever I can. And then when you realize that you guys can't work together, then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it on my own.
Hell yeah.
So it's one of those things that I've always kind of had it in my mind, and then I was able to kind of set my goals up. And I was like, you know what? Around my mid-30s, I'll probably open something. Because going to school, they kind of teach you that it's a process. Like, I didn't really was like, I want to open the business now. I was like, I want to do the best that I can. So I remember people asking me when I was like just graduating college, like, so what do you want to open? What type of restaurant? I was like, I don't know. They're like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, don't you want to open a French restaurant? I was like, I don't know where I'm going to be when I'm 35.
How mature of you?
Yeah, I was like, and since I was front of the house, I was like, I don't know what chef I'm gonna meet and what he's gonna specialize in, because we're gonna work the concept around them, So I was always kind of thinking along those lines, and it just came out to be that I was gonna be the chef, and I had to create it myself.
Hell yeah! Wow.
So turn it to that point.
God, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sending in those beautiful, beautiful questions. You know what I'm talking about. You know what to do. Every Saturday or Sunday, you go on our Instagram, you check the story, and you send in questions, and we'll read them on the air. That's beautiful. Gabe, was your experience similar in the sense that people were asking like right off the bat, like, hey, what are you gonna open? What are you gonna open? What are you gonna open like right now?
Yeah, definitely. I think everybody always assumes that people with a passion for food have this like, this like ultimate. They're like, this is it for me. This is my. When in reality, it's just us kind of like tumbling through the industry, and then like landing somewhere and looking around and being like, I don't like this, and then tumbling further, or staying there, really.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So yeah, I get that all the time, and it really is that's the way it is. So you just kind of like see what comes at you and what sticks, and you kind of start developing, which is the hardest thing as a culinarian, is developing your own style that can be seen and tasted in your food, because you get all these techniques and all this knowledge from so many different people that like it's hard to like not be them. And then after you put together that patchwork of information and style, you come up with something that's uniquely you, like this. And then that's really what, your true aim was all along.
Right. No, that's very cool, man.
Gotta get in there, baby.
Yeah. I started thinking of theater, kind of like if you're doing you're doing a character that's already been played before. You want to watch who did it before, but you don't want to act like them. There's things that you can feed off of. And as far as like tumbling through life, a metaphor. If you go to an arcade, you see a game where there's a ball and a bunch of pegs, and you drop it, and it's like
I'm getting stressed out just thinking.
And you have to get it in the middle one, but it never goes to the middle one.
Oh, God.
That's life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
100%. Julian, I noticed that if there's one thing that multiple things that you value, but you value knowledge. You go to Texas for a month. You work for free. You go to Europe, to learn the ways of the European culinary arts. Talk to me about you traveling for the sole purpose of garnering knowledge and bringing it back home.
Yeah, so all my vacations that I've had, I've planned them out with food, beer, wine, or spirits. Yeah, it's one of those things about being in the industry, like, which I always tell people, it's like I picked the best industry to be a professional in because it's about food and drink, like everything. And a lot of people do it anyway. Well, it's one of those things that when you go to a culture, you know the culture through its food and drink. Like it's one of those things, is the oldest thing that we have is we eat and we drink, for the most part. And when you go, like for instance, I went to Italy and I wanted to have each city's signature dish. So you go to Bologna and you have salsa bolognese.
Right.
You go to Parma, sitting in the middle of Parma and having a huge plate of Parmesan cheese and prosciutto di Parma and some red wine. You're in heaven. It's just one of those things. And then you go through Tuscany, and even in Spain, it's like the thing is, in Europe, the cultures revolve more around their food and drink than they do here in the U.S. So you go there and you see the passion for it and everything. Like even the wine is built to go with the food that's in the region, So, and even the spirits. You go to Scotland, and I haven't been. That's one of the places that I want to go. But when you read about it and you see it, and they use the local streams and they use the malt, single malt scotches only uses one malt, but they use the malt of that area, and a lot of the food is revolving around it. So I've always had that feel that my vacation is my education, or just going anywhere. Like when I went to Tokyo and Japan, I went through it, but I traveled 4 hours north just to go to a brewery that I wanted to try.
Wow.
Because, Kiuchi Brewery, they do Hitachino, which is like the red nest, which is a really cool beer. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm here. Just take the bullet train up north. So I got to go up there. But then you see the countryside of Japan, which is usually what you wouldn't do. You would stick to Tokyo, and then you'd go to another city and just see what it is there. But I went to a place that probably no tourists or very minimal tourists go to, which is a small town in northern Japan or middle Japan. And it's just, they're like, tourist, what are you doing here? It's like, so it's really cool. So it actually drags you and pulls you away from the normal touristy things, the striving for knowledge in terms of for the culinary world. And then you come back and you're like, okay, now I know how the Japanese do this. Now I know how the Italians do this. Okay, now I know what fresh pasta tastes like. And then you go to a restaurant here and you go to like Maculina and you're like, wow, these guys are doing it right, Or you go to a Japanese restaurant and you're like, oh, nah, these guys are a little off,
right.
Type of thing. And you just feel it, and then you grow. And then when you do your own thing, you're just like, okay, I know how they do it in Texas. I know how they do it in Carolina. I know how they do it in Memphis. This tastes a little off, but you're doing it for those people that live there, because the people, especially bringing it back to Miami and barbecue scene, the barbecue scene is growing now. There's a lot of places that are actually doing it right now and are actually doing pretty good. I haven't tried all of them, but I think they're pushing the envelope really well and pushing it forward. And that's one of the things that when I was learning it, we wanted to be one of the first people to kind of be like, hey, this is real barbecue. Miami's had barbecue, but it hasn't necessarily been to the level that people talk about too often or go back. So we want to make sure we're in the South. We're as South as you can go, but nobody thinks that that Miami, no barbecue, those Latin people don't know how to do it, So it's like bringing it to that part and making, and also barbecue and really cooked meats. Latinos love really good meat.
Oh yeah,
really overcooked meat, overcooked steak. It's like, hey, I make my brisket I cooked that shit for 14 hours. Why is it a little red? It's like, don't worry, that is not because it is really cooked.
It's cooked.
So I think that combination and bringing it together and getting people to actually be like, oh, this is barbecue. Oh, okay, I get it. and getting that ball rolling. And there's nothing better than the food that you have to transport somebody somewhere else and getting them to feel it, and then have people here start growing and then start doing different things with it. But a lot of people ask, oh, you're going to do like Latin flavors. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to pander to that. I want to give it, the service and the love that it needs, because we don't have enough of it here.
Facts.
Yes. And then once we get to that point, hopefully somebody else that's tried my stuff, is like, you know what? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put some different seasoning and do something a little different with it. I'm like, go for it. Love it. That's something like, help it grow, help it do that.
So you think that in that natural progression, where you're bringing in something like real that has been done, but like doing the correct way. Do you think that in that natural progression of the next person that eats your food and becomes inspired by it, that a Miami style barbecue can develop?
I think so. I think there's definitely a lot of room for a Miami style. When people talk about Memphis or Carolina or Texas, I think our spices and the sazon that we use goes really well with meat. It's just trying to find ways of kind of incorporating that with the barbecue and that kind of style. And maybe I'll do it in a little bit, but right now I'm just focusing on this. And I think there's a few people that are actually starting to do that now too, like using the guava barbecue is a big thing. Yeah, which it's really difficult to do because that sweetness is really hard. But that goes back to the palate, and the balance is like the people that are doing that. When they taste it, do they know the difference between a well-balanced sauce and not? Because sometimes I try guava barbecue, wherever it may be, and it's like, this is way too sweet.
It's too much, yeah.
It's going to overpower whatever meat you're putting it on. Like, and also the meats that I have, I'd never sauce them. Okay. Whenever you go to a barbecue place and you get a meat that's sauced, it's because it's not good.
Because it's dry.
Because it's dry and they're reheating it or whatever it may be. So that's the thing. Use sauce on it. And do it to your own progression. I'm not saying you shouldn't put sauce. I put barbecue sauce, but when you get it and it's already sauced, I'm just like, you're hiding something.
Yeah, what are you trying to hide?
It's like makeup. It's like makeup on there.
Like a true follower of the Texas style.
Yeah.
Yes. There's of course somebody's going to tell me that there's Carolina style that they put sauce on it, but I think that's the thing. If you don't have that perfect sauce that you make and you put it with that meat and the combination, like with the pulled pork, I make my own Carolina, and I make it a little bit more on the acidic side, just because the meat itself is already sweet. Because the rub, I use a Memphis rub, so it has a lot of sugar to it, and then the meat itself is very fatty. So that combination, when you have it, it's gonna hopefully combine into something that it's gonna be really, really nice.
Well, without further ado, because my mouth is watering right now.
Salivating right
you know
now.
what I'm saying? Everybody's. I think we're gonna, have the moment of honor. Julian, what's going on before us? Talk to us. Present everything. What's happening?
Well, the spread here. So Gorilla City, I started it off as meats and sandwiches, roasted meats and sandwiches, and then because of the pandemic, I moved a little bit more to my barbecue side, just because it's a lot easier to sell bigger platters.
Right.
But I was eventually trying to work on that. So right now I've gone completely barbecue.
Gang, okay.
Yeah. So I've gone completely barbecue. But so right here I have the 3 meat platter that I usually give with a little extra cornbread. So I have my brisket, the pulled pork, the roasted smoked turkey. Yes. I have the beans, which are vegan for those vegans out there. It's the only vegan thing I have on the menu, which is fine.
Respect.
You can just have beans. And then potato salad, and then the cornbread. And everything I make from scratch on this dish, even the sauces, except for the barbecue sauce. Oh. Shout out to Sweet Baby Ray's. I don't want to make barbecue sauce because it's very difficult to make, and I'd have to make gallons. Eventually, maybe if I open a couple spots, I'll start making barbecue sauce. But for right now, way too good to make it myself. So
hell yeah! I'm so happy you said Sweet Baby Ray's.
Sweet Baby Ray's. It's just
too
good.
Gabe knows.
It's again, we go into the balance of sweet and savory. But anyways, and then here I have the sandwich, which is the sandwich part of my business. Beautiful. And this is because I'm from up north. I grew up in New York. Grew up with sandwiches everywhere. So it's a little sad that sandwich culture here is not that big. So it's one of those things that I want to elevate a little bit the sandwich game.
Yes.
Just be like, hey, sandwiches can be really good. And also for me, sandwiches are the best way of getting people to taste what I want them to taste.
Oh, right.
Because it's flavor on top of flavor and sauce, meat, and then a little crunch, and then the bread. So here I have the Sullivan Street, which is a bakery from New York. They came down here about 5-6 years ago and started making bread for wholesale. and their breads are ridiculous. Actually, on most of my sandwiches, the most expensive thing on it for me is the bread, more than the meat and everything. Yeah, it's not cheap, but for me, the bread is the vessel that brings what you want, and too many people overlook the actual bread, where you have a good sandwich and everything's good except the bread, and you're just disappointed.
It's a very sushi mentality, like with the rice.
Yes, exactly.
The rice is really the most.
Well, how many times do you have sushi and you're like, the rice is a little weird? It just ruins it for you, you know?
Shout out Dreams of Hero, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Tony Sushi on the beach. Best sushi. But I have my pavo, which is this is the most shout out to my childhood because turkey is something that I would always eat. And I made a garlic aioli, and then I have a cranberry slaw on it. Oof. So I didn't want to use a cranberry jam because I actually want the cranberry to surprise you and just be like burst of sweetness. So that kind of works there. The pulled pork, which is with my Carolina sauce, this is very traditional kind of in that way. And then the brisket sandwich is a really good one with garlic aioli, barbecue sauce, the brisket, and then the slaw on top for crunch.
Wow. All right. I'm flustered over here. Okay. How are we doing this?
Let's dive in.
Yeah,
Or
let's
you
dive
want
in.
plates?
Let's do plates. We'll do halves of sandwiches, and then we'll.
This is a man that comes prepared.
This man came prepared.
This guy
Here you go,
thought
guys.
Thank you so much.
Plasticware here.
And ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm saying? That's why you got to be on the YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Because, if you're on Spotify, you can hear our crunches, and that's going to be decadent. And if you're driving to work, you might get to work a little aroused. And that happens.
It's going to be the ASMR portion.
Right. Shout out G-Hole, you know what I'm saying? But that's why you got to be on the YouTube, because that's how you can actually see the food. You can see the presentation. The man's got trays, all right? The man's got trays, all right? What a pairing. What a pairing. Are you joining us as well?
No, I'm good. I'm gonna let you guys go.
All right. We're gonna have to cut some of those in half so we can.
Yeah, let me cut these in half.
There you go.
I'll cut these, and I forgot I need to be close to the mic.
Oh, you're good. You're
good. While you're doing your thing over there, I've actually made some assumptions about you. Actually, I mean, it's unfair. I know you from before.
Ass out of you and me.
So I think it's pretty apparent that you really like controlling every aspect of what you do, and then
putting him on the spot. Okay,
not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it was really apparent when you were talking about the sandwich. So you mentioned that you really like the sandwich medium because you like controlling. You like controlling the experience of your guest. So
right.
you like, I want to put this much slaw on there for this much acid, this much fat, and that I think is it's one way to really attack what you're doing. And it's like a very cerebral way to cook. So do you think that acts as a hindrance to you sometimes, or do you consider it more of a strength?
So, hold on. I can talk and cut at the same time. Try not to cut sandwiches with plastic cutlery. So yes, I think the control aspect is what I've noticed has been a little bit more difficult for me in general. Especially being down here in Miami. Because...
I'll cut it, brother. Just go back over here.
No, it's okay. Oh, wait, actually.
Yeah, just go back. I got you. Don't worry about it.
Well,
we want to see your beautiful face as clear as day.
Yeah, so the control aspect, I've realized that could be kind of a hindrance in a lot of the things that you kind of want to do. Here, let's just give that. Okay. But I think it's going back to the idea that a lot of people don't necessarily know what they're eating or know what they're getting. They just order something because it looks good, tastes good, and then they eat it, but they don't really know what they're eating it. Especially when it's something that they may not like. So I think with the sandwiches, it's like I'm giving, for example, when people say that they don't really go out to restaurants and they don't eat that much food, it's like, this is my chance of giving them all the flavors together.
Yeah.
So then when they eat it, they're like, why does this taste so different from everything else? It's like, this is a well-balanced meal. Mm-hmm. So that gives the ability to kind of do that. And there's not many things that you can kind of make that gives you the opportunity to kind of put those flavors together like a sandwich. And especially, it's very disarming too for a lot of people. It's a sandwich, people have sandwiches all the time. How crazy can sandwiches be?
Wait for us. This guy's just fucking diving in. We haven't even started.
Go, baby, go.
We lost him. He's gone.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone.
That's so much to say.
Yeah. The beautiful thing about this meat, it tastes pretty good cold too, so that's a good thing. Especially the turkey. But it gives me the opportunity.
Just put them, just plop them on there.
All right, cool. It gives me the opportunity to kind of give somebody that experience that I want them to try this, and this is the reason why I do it, and then hopefully they'll lean them into doing something that they're not as comfortable doing later on, possibly. Because my turkey sandwich, I call that my underdog, because nobody orders turkey.
Oh, really?
No, because it's one of those things that nobody thinks is turkey. Only Thanksgiving and maybe as a deli meat. That's pretty much it.
We're diving into the turkey right now.
Yeah, yeah. So if you dive into the turkey,
Man, you're right on the money with the explosions of cranberry.
100%.
yeah,
I was just gonna say that. It's like a Gushers. It just hits you.
yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
I completely understand what you're saying because usually that's just like a sandwich that people order because that's what there
It's
is.
a turkey sandwich.
But that is.
And then people order it, and that's the only one they order.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's also one of the ones that the meat wise is not so heavy. It's turkey, and then the whole thing is going to fill you up, but you don't feel like you're that.
That's your
full.
slim option.
That's the slim one.
Got
Yeah. That's the on a diet option.
Oh, that's that Weight Watchers right
Weight
there.
Watchers.
The
yeah.
Miami Beach diet rate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shout out to Tripping Animals. I'm inside of Tripping Animals. They have amazing beer.
Big shout out Tripping Animals. You know what I'm saying? Boom. You see all the craft beer on deck. You know what I'm saying?
Nice. I'll get in on that too.
Yeah, get in on
Here.
that. Nice.
Oh God.
Yeah.
that's a
So
little
drinking some
disappointing.
Everhaze and some No Mames.
There you go. That's beautiful.
Very clean cut. The guys out there have been amazing. Like I've been inside of Tripping for about a year and a half now. And it was a relationship I built throughout the years of kind of doing the beer industry thing. And then they asked me to do the food there. And the cool thing is they kind of give me the freedom to do whatever I want. For the most part, they do have opinions just like everybody does. And I think that's going to the control aspect to it. I think in the beginning, when you start and you start hearing people suggesting, oh, you should do this with the menu. You should do this with the menu. And you're like, no.
Right,
This
100%.
is my menu and this is how I want to do it. And then you start realizing that, you can't necessarily be like that. You have to be a little bit more fluid along with what you're doing. So my menu right now looks a lot different from what it was to start. Because I have tacos on the menu now. I have nachos. I have...
Oh, bro, 2021, everything's fluid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
There we go. Yeah, so my meat is fluid. It goes both ways. But it's cool. It's helped out to grow a lot. And it was my first time opening business and first time being kind of in the kitchen. So I was also very hesitant. You're like, I don't know if people are going to like my food. I don't know if they're going to like it. I have to work on it. So then I was able to kind of just, once I was more comfortable with it, be like, okay, now I can kind of work on kind of different things. And then the pandemic hit. I was only open for 4 months before the pandemic really shut everything down.
wow.
Yeah. So that was a little crazy. But again, like I said, the guys were really cool. They helped out a lot. I was able to kind of do the transition to barbecue and kind of like slowly work towards really refining the meat and how it was to go. And then once January 2021 hit, I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go heavy and start doing kind of like whatever. The only hard part was finding an employee because I worked pretty much by myself for almost a year.
Wow.
So I was pretty much doing everything 6-7 days a week. Open to close.
Do you think it's I'm speaking personally
Yeah.
that I think one of the hardest things is communicating to an employee or a partner or somebody that's doing essentially what your vision of something, communicating to them how you want things done and then having them executed in that way. I mean, I know recently you just got your
Yes. Shout out to Javi.
shout out to Javi.
Shout out Javi.
Actually, him and Shaggy, Chef Shaggy, they recommended the employee that I have now, and he's great. It's been 3 months. He's helped out a lot. It's the reason why I'm here. If it
Big
wasn't
shout
for
out
him-
Chef Shaggy, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out.
So the reason why I'm here right now is because he's there cooking. It's one of those things. And going back to your question, for me, especially with the control aspect to it, it's very difficult. But I've also seen that I'm also not one from the kitchen, like in that aspect, where I know a lot of chefs that cannot allow anybody to make the food that they've made. Mm-hmm. That's when my front of the house aspect comes. And because front of the house, you're always training somebody to do a specific job. I'm never serving a table. I'm training you to serve the table. So I've been able to feel like, okay, from the beginning, I made this because I do not want to be here 24/7 all the time. Like, I want to hopefully open a few more. But in order for me to do that, I have to kind of let go a little bit.
Hell yeah.
So I've also built the menu, and I built kind of what I've done in order from the back end to be pretty easy to reproduce. A lot of the recipes that I have are not very complicated. They're very flavor forward, but not to say that anybody can make it, but somebody that has a little bit of a culinary background can definitely catch up on it and start doing it. And it's not going to be too hard to replicate, because I need to be able to replicate this pretty easily.
Right. What am I diving into right here?
So that looks like the brisket sandwich.
Boom, boom,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
Have you dived into the brisket already?
I'm not gonna lie, I did,
Please.
and I've been
Yeah.
struggling not to moan into the microphone.
I do have to say,
Yeah.
eating this sandwich kind of activated my caveman primal instincts. I only saw red once I started tasting it, and I
about to
couldn't
trash the
stop.
studio.
I could not stop. It just kept coming, bro. It was so good.
Well, there's something to be said about smoked meats. That's essentially what our first meat that we have was a smoked meat, because I'm sure that they didn't really know what they were doing. They just put it in the fire and the wood kind of smoked it up. So I'm sure that's
And they're like, "This is nice."
yeah, this isn't bad.
right,
you know?
guys.
This isn't bad. This saber tooth is delicious over the fire. But yeah, so there's something to be said about barbecue too, that it's a very primal thing. You know, it's like we were cooking fire, smoke. It's something that kind of taps into kind of our instincts, our primal feels, and our wants, and it's very easy to kind of mess it up. But it's also like, if you just put it out there, people are just gonna like feel like, I guess, I don't know. I'm struggling to kind of say how I've heard people say like, this is something that, like, it's either the best I've had, or it's something that brings me back to when I was a kid, or brings me back to when I went camping with whatever. You know, it's something that ties into a lot of the things that we've had when we were kids as well. And on top of that, like, as a human aspect of fire, meat. You know,
You heard it here first. This meat makes you think about your own humanity.
God. Oh my God. That's getting real erotic.
Thank you, Gino.
What is this last sandwich that I'm about to dive
So
into?
the last one is my pulled pork, which I
Okay.
do with a Memphis dust. And that goes with Carolina sauce that I make myself. And that's a mustard-based sauce that kind of brightens it up a little bit. And it's a very good way. It's pork, you know? Yeah.
What?
No, get in there.
I just couldn't stop making noises while
Get
you're
in
talking.
there. Get in there.
Oh my God.
And pork to me is this one of those like very versatile meats. Like, in terms of, you can kind of overcook it a little bit and it still tastes kind of good, especially the pork shoulder. But when you do it right and you add the right sauce to it, it just conveys the flavors really, really well of what you're trying to do.
Wow.
And, you know, in the Latin community, the lechon or the pernil, like, we're very accustomed to kind of that meat off the bone, or just oven roasted, just the oven roasted pork meats in that sense. So this works really well with that.
You had mentioned that the sandwich scene down here in Miami, it's kind of lacking. Why do you guys think that is? And you're not the first person to say that. I remember Alidoro at the Oasis, they came through. They kind of had the same experience. Why do you guys think that way?
I think it's the culture more than anything. I think the Latin culture isn't very big in sandwiches, especially when you're growing up. You know, you're not really putting a sandwich in your kid's mailbox. It's more like, well, actually, I don't even know what kids down here get in their mailboxes.
I used to have pan con lechon.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, I guess so. It's because the Cuban sandwich is big. That's why it's one of those things. But it's very uniquely just that. It's like pan con lechon, Cuban sandwich. But in terms of the overall aspect of the sandwich culture, in a sense, it's not and that's the thing. I just forgot that it's a sandwich. You know, it's kind of crazy when I think about it. But that might just be because I didn't grow up down here, and then coming down, the places that actually sell sandwiches that are not Cuban sandwiches are very few and far between. You know, I think that's mainly it. It's like, I want a good roasted, you know, the fact that pub sandwiches are a thing is kind of messed up. because it's like crap. I have to go to a grocery store to get a good hero or a good.
All right, pub subs
sandwich.
are a fucking hit down here.
They're good, but that's the problem. Is they're all right.
Right, they're not.
Good. The problem is they're the thing that where people get their sandwiches, and that's the thing that like people always want sandwiches, and then you go to Publix and you're like, wow. And it's like they're good. I'm not gonna knock them. I go there, every once in a while to get a good sandwich, but in reality, it's like you go to a good deli up north, and you eat that compared to a pub sub, like there's no comparison.
I think it's the attention to detail, really.
Yeah, that's
like there's no real. I mean, I'm sure there are, but few and far between. Like a sandwich place that cures their own meats, bakes their own bread.
Yeah.
And then
Exactly.
every aspect has some sort of artisanal aspect to it, or some sort of care. So yeah, there's good sandwiches because if you layer up delicious things in relatively good ingredients, they're gonna taste good.
Right.
But to take it to the next level, aka this level right here,
100%. My plate is damn near empty.
exactly. It takes a little bit more time, which I think is what people don't want to invest.
Right.
You could open up a sandwich shop right now and then buy whatever meats and slap it on there, and it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Or you can spend 14 hours doing curing your own meat for weeks or
Right.
whatever it takes. And I really think that's what it is. Time and care is really the difference between that.
Cruz, for someone with the, I guess maybe not as an elevated palate as these two gentlemen before us, could you tell the attention to detail and the time devoted to this meat, to the sandwiches, as opposed to say a pub sub, as opposed to say a Subway, whatever the case?
Absolutely. From the bread down to the meat, the bite, marks on the meat were 3D scans of my teeth. They were insane. It was like butter. It was so good and so filling. It was so fucking delicious.
Yeah. If you take a bite into your sandwich and you're going to war, it's a bad sandwich. You know what I'm saying? if it's a whole tug of war sort of scenario, it's gonna be a long day. Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with this amazing tasting before us, because I know Cruz is eyeing that damn meat boy like a Sarah J out here, I do want to get to our second segment of the week. You know what I'm talking about? And the second one is actually the movie review of the week. You know what I'm talking about? And in this here beautiful segment, we ask our illustrious guests for a suggestion, a recommendation. You know what I'm talking about? Let's say you got a masses of 10,000 people for you, and they're waiting in line for 2 hours for some. They're waiting in line for some sandwiches and some barbecue. You know what I'm saying? And they got 2 hours to kill because the line is long. You know what I'm saying? And there's only one man. Well, right now there's someone there right now helping you out. But still, it's 10,000 people. So you got to give them a movie, a TV show, any sort of media that they can maybe kill 2 hours with. That it's 5 stars out of 5. Something that you've been binging. Hit me with that Netflix. Hit me with that Hulu, that HBO Plus, whatever the case may be. What are we hitting them with?
Wow, so much.
So much content.
Well, I just saw Suicide Squad, and I have to shout out James Gunn.
Right.
It's just he knows how to do the superhero trope, and I'm one of those kids that grew up with comic books, and every time you see the movie, I'm still like a little kid, like, oh my god. So it's just one of those things that this was just a fun superhero movie that doesn't take itself seriously, which I don't think movies should. Yeah. But it was really cool. I think they did it really well. The acting was good enough. But again, I think the whole dynamic between Idris Elba and John Cena and then the whole, ancillary characters, I think was really, really fun. And it was a fun little ride.
Hell yeah. Did you like it more than the first?
Oh yeah, 100%.
100%.
I think DC, there's like that. You could tell there's like two sides of executives. They're like, let's go serious, let's go fun, let's go serious. Right. And I think DC in general, because of Batman and tends to be a little bit more gothic and serious and then Christopher Nolan made so much money, and his were very psychological and deep. And I think they were like, we need to continue that, but without Christopher Nolan, I was like, well, that's a bad thing. You can't do that without
Right.
So, and I think that's why Marvel has taken over so much, because every one of their movies are just, we're superhero movies, we're not taking ourselves seriously, but watch us spend $250 million on CGI and shit.
There's a balance there, just like in food.
Yeah,
there's serious moments, there's funny moments. It's somehow believable in our own world, but not. So I think that's what it is. Yeah.
This new. I think the new phase and now with Disney Plus, what Marvel is doing is ridiculous. Like, I feel bad for people that haven't even got into it because there's no way you can get into it now. There's way too much to see. Like, with the whole series of WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, and then, turning it up. And now What If series just came out. It's just, if you nerd out, it's the best thing in the world because everything has had character building for 10 years. What movie or what series, like when the new Doctor Strange comes out, there's literally hundreds of hours of setup for that. So if you've gone through it and actually even researched and looked at it, you're like,
Cruz is a big fan of the whole genre. You know what I'm saying? He's telling me every day, bro, you gotta watch Loki. You gotta watch Loki. You gotta watch Loki.
You haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet because I've been binging my queer eye. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get my queer eye in.
They're similar.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Tan France. Shout out Jonathan Van Ness. You know what I'm saying? My spirit animals. But okay, Suicide Squad or The Suicide Squad, because I believe that's the official name of the new one, right? It's the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. How many stars out of 5 would you give it?
Ooh, 3.5.
Ooh.
No faltering whatsoever.
No faltering
I think
whatsoever.
3.5. I think it's I wouldn't give it a little more because he had a lot to work with, especially with the previous squad. But it was actually really good. And I think that's a lot to do with, again, we go back to character building. There was a lot of characters in there that you just had to like put up and kind of throw out. And I think the first half an hour was you trying to just figure it all out. But it was really good, really fun.
Very cool.
3.5.
So we can understand your rating more. What is a 5? Is Schindler's List?
Schindler's List is definitely a 5.
Okay.
Oh
yeah.
shit.
So this is
especially going to Liam Neeson and no.
So
No pay cut. No pay cut.
So The Suicide Squad is almost Schindler's List.
3.5. To get a 4, it's very difficult. 4.5. 5 that's really hard to do.
Heard that.
Really hard. That's why I say 3.5. It's fun. You go. You have a good time.
Bro, you're like me reviewing key lime pie. I've never found a 10. Yeah. Closest thing is an 8.1.
So
Kermit's.
You've never had that 110 that you're basing
I haven't had
all of?
No.
So what is your basis?
My high Kermit's in Key West.
Okay. That's an 8?
8.1, I believe it was.
Julian, if you ever decide to put a key lime pie on your menu, just watch out.
Oh, dude.
He's a
I
shark.
don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to anymore. Shit.
It's scary.
I'm going to have to get like key limes from a certain tree in Key West.
God.
For this guy.
So the Suicide Squad recommendation for the week. We normally do the guest, but let's do the guest co-host as well.
Yes, please.
You know what I'm saying? What's something that you want to recommend to the masses? Something you've been binging at the cribbo?
It's not necessarily a binge, but it's a movie that I watched, and I might be a little bit biased just because I'm me, but I saw Roadrunner, which is
you saw it?
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's the documentary about Anthony Bourdain and his life and
patron saint of all
subsequent.
chefs.
Yeah, I mean, and I just thought it was so. First of all, I like.
Did you cry? Yeah.
No, not only cried. I like wept actively, like sobbing. I'm pretty sure the people around. I saw it in the theater, so I'm pretty sure the people around me.
You saw it in the. It's in the theaters.
Yeah, it went. I'm not sure if anymore, but it was like a limited release, I think. And I'm pretty sure the people around me were like, "What is wrong with this guy? Is this his dad?" Like, but yeah, I was like sobbing hysterically, and I think it's a very real look at who he was.
Yeah.
So does it dive into depression and shit?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I hear it dives into like the dark side. Oops,
Very.
The dark side.
Yeah, it does, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
I'm glad they just showed like what a layered and complex person he was, and didn't just like make him, the patron saint. Like didn't just like put paint over it. So it was good. I absolutely love it.
And this man, he loves having experiences when he watches a film. Because if I'm watching a film, bro, I'm trying to get away. He's trying to learn. He's trying to grow. Hits me up. Oh, we're going to watch the new Bo Burnham special. Oh, okay. And then, boom, he hits me with, oh, I'm 30. I'm depressed. It was intense.
Yeah. The next time I saw him after that, he was 85 pounds lighter.
But I mean, it works. It works. You know what I'm saying? It works.
Good job. What movie is this? What do I need to watch?
Well, it was. But what's the special called?
Inside.
Yeah. He shot it all by himself during the pandemic.
Oh, that's the one I heard. Oh, I've heard about. Like he did everything, right?
It's fantastic.
Like
It
the
really,
music, everything.
It toes the line between comedy and performance art.
It does.
I think it's I'll use the word masterpiece. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that. What's that on right now? What streaming service?
Netflix.
Netflix.
Thank you.
Not a sponsor. Yet.
Yeah, what's good, Netflix? We out here, baby. But those are beautiful suggestions. I appreciate those suggestions. And let's, you know what I'm saying? Let's get back to the meat. Gabe, if you would have the honors of maybe slicing and dicing.
Here you go, sir.
And if you could reach over your plate, Cruz, you know what I'm saying? You can go ahead. There you go.
Again, this has been yeah. I wish I could heat this up for you.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, it's still gonna be good, but
That's beautiful. All right, and as Gabe is indubitably, you know what I'm saying,
Love that
cutting
word.
that. Yeah, I love that word. Cutting that meat for all of us in attendance today. I did want to ask Julian, if you could give me percentages as far as what you think. What you value the most when you have an experience when you go into a restaurant? Give me percentages as far as the service, the presentation, the food itself. Talk to us about what is the most important aspect of the restaurant industry. When as someone who's going in merely as a spectator.
it's a pretty complex question, I guess, because I have different tiers.
Okay.
Like I go into a restaurant and I figure out what type of restaurant it is. I figure out who owns it, what it is, what's the aspect. Like, I'm not gonna evaluate a restaurant that I just go in that it's like a mom pop, like two people trying to do it themselves, and then compare it to like a high end corporate restaurant.
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna go in with the same kind of mentality. I'm not like single minded. Like I try to take into account what they're trying to do, and if they do that right, and then what that other restaurant, higher end restaurants, what they do. And what they should have done right or what they didn't, it's just an aspect of me, I guess, going to that control aspect to it.
Right.
But it's also understanding how difficult it is to do the industry and how difficult the budgets might be or how much experience they might have. Because if I go to a restaurant, a little hole in the wall, mom pop, and they're trying to do a restaurant and you kind of understand kind of a little bit of their story and what they're putting out is really good, but something's a little off. I'm not going to be like, I'm never coming back to this place.
Right.
It's like, wow, they're doing so good with what they have.
Right.
Whereas if I go to a high-end restaurant that has, a celebrity chef owner and like a really good, director of operations, and then all of a sudden I go in and my water isn't on the table and there's no bread on the table and their
Right.
steps of services aren't set, I'm going to be like,
Yeah.
that's not good,
Right.
type of thing. So it's like one of those things that I try to go into every experience with a different kind of mindset. And I think it's a great way of going about go out. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily have that experience. So go in with the same mindset to every particular way. And you can see this a lot on Yelp. This is not a shout out to Yelp, but I do love them because I do have a business. So I kind of have to say that I do, but, it's one of those things that it's funny because the review services are good and so bad for the industry, where it gives people a voice that don't necessarily know what they're essentially looking at. Mm-hmm. Or they go in with that one mindset that they have to every single place. So they'll go into a small mom pop and rate it as if they're going to this place that has multi-million dollars of doing it.
Right.
And you're like, you don't understand that they probably only have one employee, one guy in the kitchen, and yes, your food took an extra 5-10 minutes, but like don't rate them like you do like Houston's.
Right.
You can't do it, and then they
has
write
an
their like,
army.
yeah,
Right.
and they're like, oh, the food took so long to come out, and then when I said something, they didn't give me what I wanted. It's like because they don't have the budget to give you food for free, and you
Right.
ate it all. It's like, I worked at the W. At the Dutch in the W, and the thing is that there was a big fight with the restaurant and the hotel because the hotel was
You can dive in, Cruz. I know that boy's dying. You know what I'm saying? That boy's,
get in there.
that boy's
Bro, I
looking
gotta
at.
say, just the look alone is insane.
Go,
Insanely.
get in there. Get in
And
there.
before you continue about the W, what are we diving into over here for the cameras?
Here we have, this is our 3 meat platters. So barbecue places, you can always get meat by the pound, half pound. There's a brisket, turkey, pulled pork with a potato salad I make myself. And beans I make myself, and cornbread I make myself.
Oh my God!
So if you taste the potato salad and the beans themselves are a little bit more on the acidic side, just to counteract all the fat that you're getting from the meat.
Also, shout out Gabe. I've never seen someone serve things quieter than you have, bro. And that's the perks of having.
He's a professional.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He is a
and that's the
professional.
perks right there.
I serve quiet and eat loud.
That's the name of my memoir, bro.
Pretty good. No, but this guy too at Fuchs was,
to be reckoned with.
this guy.
When I was a younger boy.
A younger boy.
Yeah.
The W.
But going back to the W and the Ritz-Carlton and all these big corporations, they've kind of built a kind of a monster in terms of our clientele, because the W mantra is whatever, whenever, which means that if you go in as a guest to the W and I want whatever I want, you're going to give it to me whenever I want it.
So they make it happen.
They make it happen. It was sometimes at the restaurant, we would get somebody for dinner and be like, I want an egg. And be like, I'm sorry, breakfast was earlier. And then they would go, when we said no, they would go complain to the front desk. And they're like, you have eggs, just make them an egg. And we're like, no, that's not how it works. But
this ain't Denny's,
yeah,
bro.
exactly. But the thing is, these people, they're like, they just spent $10,000 on a room. Give them an egg.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck. You're like, okay. You're like, sure. But
sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I actually work in the hotel industry.
Oh, okay.
And they actually have like a $4,000 daily limit to spend specifically on guests' requests.
Just whatever they want.
Anything they ask for, your job primarily becomes complete that request.
Bro, that's insider knowledge right there.
Staying in the wrong
What
places.
hotel chain, if you don't mind?
Marriott.
Oh, yeah, I work for Marriott. Shh, terrible. But I only say terrible in the sense that because I'd say terrible in the sense from the aspect of the restaurant industry. Because the restaurant industry, you have to be so fluid. Yeah.
So good. I'm sorry for that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I couldn't control that. That was kind of like you. I get it. I
like this just talking about people eating my food. Oh. So let me entertain you while you're eating my meat. But no, like Marriott, the W, like the Marriott as well. I worked for Ritz-Carlton, which was a Marriott property. But that's the thing. Back then when I worked with them, each employee at the Ritz-Carlton got like $1,000 to give people whatever they wanted. If somebody complained and be like, I want this different bottle of champagne, you could go out, you'd be like, hey, listen, I have to go out to the liquor store to get this person a bottle, and you can get them. So the thing is, it's this culture's created people that want whatever whenever they want it. And then they go to restaurants and they have that same mentality. And then they go in and they're like, oh, I want this. Can't the chef make it? You have food. Like, no, it's like, we can't. The chef. And then, I also worked at Juvia. I don't know if anybody knows Juvia.
Yep.
Gabe does.
It's a really high-end restaurant on the beach. I was the assistant general manager there. Wow. And this was mom and pop, really high-end. And I was able to say no. It was
Cruz is getting aroused just hearing being able to say no.
I couldn't deal with the power. Honestly, imagine those people being like, no.
Yeah, I was about
you
to
can't. You can't. Like, what do you mean? Be like, the chef doesn't want to serve this, so you can't have it. Would you like something else?
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to do it. No, I really want this. I don't understand. I was like, you're in our restaurant. If you like it, eat it. If not, go somewhere else. You're fine.
You got Uber Eats, baby girl. Like, what?
We're not keeping you here. It's okay. Don't worry. Like, there was this one instance that I love the most, which is kind of like encompasses all this of those two worlds. And this is luxury. This doesn't happen too much on the bottom.
This food is luxury. I'll tell you that right now.
I try to put those two worlds together. But this lady comes in. We have a special restaurant. I don't know. Juvia's outside. Beautiful restaurant. It got like architectural awards. It's gorgeous. It's outside. We have this specific table that's outside. But somebody was sitting there. And this lady comes up with like a group of 6. She's a little tipsy already. And she's like, hey, I want that table. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. There's somebody sitting and I have a reservation coming for it. No, I want it. And I was like, you can't have it. Would you like another table? They're like, no, I want that one specifically. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to write a really bad review. I work for a magazine in New York. I'm like, okay. And she thought I was going to go to I was the assistant general manager, so I controlled this little aspect. And I know I didn't have to talk to my GM because he gave me the power. of just being like, deal with all these people. So I was like, oh, what magazine? She's like, what? I'm like, what magazine do you work for? She's like, what do you mean?
Doral magazine? Like, fuck out of here, bro.
And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, well, I would love to contact your editor and let them know that you're here throwing their magazine around because you want a freaking table that you can't have. And she's like, what? She's like, yeah, I'm sure you have an editor, right?
Tiger Beat magazine.
She's like, yeah, exactly. She's like, what? 5 minutes later, she comes back. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to like say that. You know, but these are the people that come down here and think they could throw their shit around. And like at whatever hotel, they would have gotten that table right away. You know, but it's like being able to be like, and they actually thank you at the end because they're not used to people telling them no. And they're like, thank you. I had a great experience.
Right.
Sorry for me being a dick.
They like it.
You know?
They like it.
Oh,
They
yeah,
like that. They like
it's a
being
little,
like that.
it's a little BDSM thing over there. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure she was like, oh,
Excuse me.
what is your name?
Yeah. That reminds me of when the cake boss got arrested. He's like, do you know who I am? I'm the cake boss. So shout out Buddy Valastro. That was a beautiful man. Got cannolis. Got cannolis to be reckoned with. Gabe? I need your input because I mean I can.
I'm tired talking too much.
No. I as the untrained palate amongst titans of industries over here, can merely attest to how phenomenal it tastes and how I'm going to promote the shit out of it on Instagram. But luckily, we have someone who can verbalize the amount of work that goes into this. And Gabe, just please tell us. Tell us what you think. All the big words. Hit us with those FCAT words.
So like I said before, I think time is really undervalued in when some people think about what it takes to like make something delicious. Usually it's more time spent on it. And I'll tell you right now, I'm a huge, I'm really snooty when it comes to, I was about to ask you to have some of those.
Sorry,
pickles.
I forgot to have pickles. You need pickles to cleanse a palate.
Do you want pickles?
I'm good.
And I'm also like a pickle slut. So
Pickles in the barbecue industry are your palate cleansers, kind of like ginger with sushi.
By the way, that could be another be another co-host nickname, Pickle Slut.
We're getting them all.
Pickle Slut. That's beautiful, bro.
This is gonna get real long, real soon.
Thank you. Yes.
But yeah, so I'm pretty. When it comes to brisket in particular, I think that's extremely difficult to get right. Like every time that I like brisket, I like it a lot, but I usually never order it in restaurants because I already predetermined that it's gonna be bad. Like I'm always like, it's gonna be dry like it always is, or under seasoned like it always is. To get the flavor to really penetrate in there and to be like throughout the whole brisket eating experience is difficult, and to get the right texture is difficult, and to keep it. This has been sitting here for a long time, and it
tastes so fresh, man.
It still carries moisture within it.
100%.
I've had fresh cut briskets that were 10 times drier than that. So that alone is a testament to like the care that you put into it. And and pulled pork sandwiches. I usually don't order them either because I don't like really saucy barbecue.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm sorry, Carolina style, but not for me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember this isn't the first time I've had your pulled pork sandwich. I didn't order it. My girlfriend, I was with Chef Shaggy, so I guess
he is kind of your
girlfriend.
Yeah.
So one of my girlfriends,
your side piece.
So he ordered it and like he had it. And he's like, oh, this is amazing. It's not like the regular sweet barbecue sauce in there. It's like a mustard based sauce, which already appealed to me, and it was fantastic. I ordered it like the next time I went. I ordered it again. And you're making me like something I usually don't like. Mm-hmm. And now that we're here on Style of Barbecue, I really want to know. And this is gonna be a tough one. I want you to tell me what's the worst style of barbecue and why.
The worst style,
not the best, because that's an easy one to answer.
And I have a branch out for that question. Have you ever had asado?
Asado? Like Argentinian asado? Yeah. Like just throwing shit on the grill and just.
Well, that's a way to describe it, but.
I'm just kidding. You're Argentinian. I did that on purpose.
But just branching off.
But worst style of barbecue? That's hard to say. Because I guess the lowest ranking one would be my worst, I guess, if you want to look at that. But the thing is, if I go to a style like maybe, Carolina style, the Memphis, I haven't had too much of the Midwest style because that's the one place I haven't been to that much. It's just mainly looking at it and other people doing it. So I can't really talk about that. But in all honesty, it's like, I think there's people doing whatever they're doing really right. In the sense of like I can fuck with a tomato-based sauce and I could do a mustard-based sauce. And if somebody does the tomato-based sauce really well, like it just goes really well with a really good pork, you know? And that's the thing. It's an interesting question because I don't look at it like that. I just probably haven't had the good version of it yet.
It's very optimistic of you.
Yeah.
I like you. Obviously tend to gravitate towards Texas.
Yeah, of course.
I just really like the meat being the star of the show.
Yes.
A lot of other ones. I mean, I guess it comes from working in kitchens and every time that there's too much sauce, you're like, what are they trying to hide?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
first thing.
Bro, whenever I see too much sauce, it reminds me of Ariana Grande. I'm like, bro, there's something there I don't trust. You know what I'm saying? Like, gee, shit. Like, there's just something there I'm peculiar about.
Yeah. No, but I do Texas is definitely my number one, just in terms of because they're like, this is the meat and that's all you need and guns. And I've been there more than Carolina and kind of Midwest, so I've had more there, and I was able to kind of see it and kind of feel it. But yeah, the more, and you could tell by the style that I do, it definitely leans more towards Texas because it's just, this is the meat, and then put sauce on it if you want.
Right.
But you don't have to.
It's a very libertarian meat.
Very
libertarian
free.
barbecue.
Yeah.
You're free. You're free to do whatever you want.
Also, I will say, I was so surprised, and I think you'll agree, by the turkey sandwich. Because it's something, turkey is just, bro, I mean, your boy was losing weight, you know what I'm saying? So it's turkey, it's chicken,
exactly.
Ground turkey, or even sliced, whatever the case, all day, every day. So I'm no stranger to turkey. It's a lean meat. But man, the amount of flavor you had in there, the cranberries, just, it was perfectly paired, man. It was a phenomenal sandwich. I didn't expect turkey to have that much flavor.
Yeah. But again, I make all this food, not to sound kind of like, I make it for me. Like, this has to be like, I have to eat every sandwich that I put out. I'm making it for myself. You know, it's like, what am I going to think? And it's something that I try to tell, like, especially Javi, or anybody that works for me. It's like, you make this for me and for you. Like, this is us sitting at the table. Every ticket is us sitting at the table. So you build it the way you want to see it, and you put it together the way you want to see it. You don't have enough sauce? Oh, it's fine. No, it's not, because I don't want less sauce. I would want the right amount of sauce. Oh, too much sauce. Way too much. Take a little bit off of it. Like, every piece has to be like, I'm eating it for me, because I put it together and this is the way it should be. And I think the flavor combination is that way. But I think going back to the control aspect to it, that's the hard part about having a business, is like, are you really going to train somebody to do this right every single time? Because that one person that doesn't, the one time you do it wrong is the one person that is going to eat it. Then it's the one person that says something to somebody about it, you know? So it's like, you have to take it into account. It's like, you're making this for you every single time, even if it takes a little longer. And you need, and I always say, like, if you fuck something up, throw it out. I'd rather not sell it than give it to somebody, you know? I'd rather take the loss. Like, I messed up a bunch of ribs the other day.
Right.
And somebody ordered them, and I took them out, and I was like, they look terrible. And I tried them, and I was like, these aren't good. And I told him, I was like, listen, I can't give you ribs today because they're terrible and I wouldn't eat them. And he's one of my regulars. He's like, I've never been to a place that tells me they're not going to give me something because it's going to taste bad.
Oh, brother, you got Midnight in Miami a block away. You drop them off over here. You know what I'm saying?
That is true. You are literally a block away. That was crazy.
Yeah.
You send me the address.
You're like, wait, what?
You sent me the address, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to drive like 5 minutes. I was like, wait,
Am I here?
I can walk.
Are you staring at me?
Have you seen me?
Is that you waving at me?
Have you seen Phone Booth?
It's kind of crazy.
Great movie. Julian, I do want to know, what are your 2 cents on commercialized barbecue spots? You got Shorty's. You got, what's the spot on 41st?
Now you're going to get me in trouble.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
41st.
On 41st. It's a massive chain. No. It's a barbecue chain. Bro, you see it on the screen. But yeah, you know, talk to me about barbecue chains that have expanded, that have come down here. Yeah, talk to me about that.
There's not too many that come down here. I think Moxie just opened something downtown, but I already...
And also Shorty's. What else is down here?
The thing is with barbecue that's extremely difficult And that's why you don't see that much really good barbecue, is because it's very difficult to make it consistently right. Like a lot of I think there was a place, what was it, in Wynwood that opened? Pride and Joy.
Pride and Joy.
Pride and Joy, the first week it was good, but it's just hard to get it consistent. And I guess I'm going to put it out there.
Put it.
I don't use a traditional smoker. I do an oven. I do electrical.
Ooh.
But I programmed this thing for 2 months to try to get the meat. If I was to tell you that I didn't do this in a regular smoker, you probably wouldn't have known.
No.
That's the thing. So the thing is with electric and the difference between fire smoke, the thing is with brisket is very difficult to get and to cook regularly, consistently with wood fire, because it's literally 14 hours and you have to check the fire unless you have this huge oven that's the size of this room and the firebox can fit a lot of wood. That firebox, no matter the biggest firebox, could only hold its heat for about 6 hours.
Yeah.
So you want a consistent 225, 250. And if you can't get it at that, you have to keep feeding the fire.
So you would have to hire somebody overnight.
So that's the thing. A lot of these smoker places, like Hometown is probably the only one that kind of does it with actually real wood. Shout out to them, because they have the actual Oilers systems, which actually has a bigger firebox, so you can hold it for about 3 or 4 hours. And they have somebody that comes in overnight and starts feeding it and all that stuff. And that's great, but that's very difficult to do. And if you don't have the money or the patience for you yourself to die and do that every night, then you can do that. But the thing is the electrical smokers are not seen as traditional, and a lot of people don't point their nose down to it. But I also heard from a lot of people too, especially the new barbecue guys, that they're listen, if you can do electrical right, just do it. Why wouldn't you do it? It's about the end product that you have. It's not about how you do it. It's bringing more people into this industry. Instead of having a place that has shitty barbecue restaurants because everybody's trying to do traditional, why don't we have really good barbecue restaurants because everybody knows how to do it from an electrical side?
Yeah.
So it's that balance and that line that you're trying to toe. And since I have the experience of only doing it through fire and tasting it and knowing what it tastes like and how it should taste like in terms of structure and moisture and what it needs to feel like the only thing I don't get on the brisket, and is the only thing that kind of makes it seem makes it look that I'm not, is a smoke ring. Because you can't really get a good smoke ring in an electrical oven, because the fan is so efficient that it doesn't allow the smoke to kind of sit on it. I'm not going to say all my secrets unless you come work for me, and then I'll tell you every secret that you want. But again, with barbecue, it's not necessarily a lot of secrets. It's if you want to do it. And it really took me 2 months to try to program this, because I have a rationale oven, which is,
it's sick.
Yeah, it's the Ferrari of ovens. It literally took a third of my budget is just the oven.
God damn,
It's awesome. I was really jealous of it when I first saw it, and I was like,
wow.
It was
It's
biting
crazy.
my lip.
I was looking at Le Creuset. Is that how you say Le Creuset? Is that how you
Le
say it?
Creuset?
Nah, I was looking at them last night. They're not cheap.
No, this is the most expensive oven you can get, in terms of for this style commercial wise. There's probably one-offs that are. But anyways, going back to the point is it's once I program it, it's pretty much set it and forget it in a lot of ways. You still have to play a lot with it and figure out how this, because I do real smoke. I said doo-doo. I do use real smoke chunks and chips and actually smoke the meat, and then I get a good smoke to it. But actually, I found out that a lot of people don't like overly smoked meat, which sometimes when you have the traditional smokers, it's smoked for so long that if you're not good at tending fire and you don't get that blue smoke all the time, you're gonna get a little bit of too much of that air, that stringent kind of smoke, kind
acrid.
a little acrid. Yeah, that's exactly. So you get so somebody tastes it and they're like, oh, this is way too smoky, and then people don't like barbecue anymore.
Wow.
Because especially in Miami, it's a new barbecue kind of feel, because with now going back to your original question with the Shorties and Uncle Tom and all these other places. I'm sorry, but their barbecue is terrible. It's garbage. I go once and maybe it's okay, and then you go again and you're like, all right. And then the whole thing with Chili's and the baby back ribs are not really anything. Baby back ribs are only popular because of Chili's, and people think that ribs should fall off the bone. Ribs should never fall off the bone, and ribs should never be boiled. Ribs should be a nice crunch to it, you're supposed to be able to tear the meat off the bone. It should not fall off. If they fall off, that means they're overcooked.
Shout out to Chili's though. Great song.
Great song.
Great song.
Chili's baby back ribs. And the thing is,
baby.
you know what I love about that too is baby back ribs are more expensive than spare ribs when spare ribs have better and more meat. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's so
crazy.
true.
It's like the only reason why baby backs are that expensive is because of that fucking song.
Marketing
101. It's like $1 more for the shit end of ribs. It's
You guys can't see his eyes right now when he was talking about that, but his eyes were set ablaze. I can tell that this is something really close to you.
No, but it's great though because I spend less money on spare ribs.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, every single week we have 3 segments. You know what I'm talking about. And the last one is actually the quest for the truth. You know what I'm talking about. And in this here, we should have the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Boom, 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 boom. But in this here beautiful segment, we ask not only our illustrious guests before us, but everybody in the studio a random emphasis on the word random card picked from this here deck of cards. And here we go. All right. And if you see me fumbling through the cards, it's because we've asked probably 90% of these goddamn questions.
I completely forgot that this was for everybody. I'm ill prepared.
Scared.
Yeah, me too. But he goes first, right?
I'm here for you. Though. Was it pickle whore?
That's the
Pickle
next
slut,
that's the
pickle
next
slut.
one.
Pickle
Yeah.
slut.
Oh, we take offense to the pickle whore.
Yeah.
Pickle slut's fine though.
All right.
P.S.
All right. We have gone through all of these. We have gone through that one. Okay, we're going through. No, we did that one.
And by
Right, so
random,
let
he
me ask-
means
so let me
chosen
ask
by
you-
him.
Okay, I have one. If you could create one holiday, what would it be?
Barbecue day.
Damn, boy, quick with it.
He stole mine.
One holiday. Yeah, it'd probably be just something culinary wise that everybody can. No. I just thought about it. No, because holidays suck because we have to work more. I want a holiday where people from restaurants and the industry doesn't have to work. Because every holiday we have to work more because everybody's off and everybody wants to go to restaurants. So I want an anti-holiday.
Damn.
I want a holiday where everybody else has to work at restaurants for some random weird. I don't know how we can figure this
I
out.
thought you were gonna say a day where all restaurants are closed. I'm like, you mean the pandemic?
Surprise! We're celebrating right now.
No, it's a holiday where normal people have to go work at restaurants and we can just go and enjoy and then yell at them and write Yelp reviews about them.
Love that. Gabe, what is one holiday that you would create?
Man, that is a really, really good one.
It's a good one.
The only problem is that all the food would suck because they don't know what they're doing.
That's true.
But
We could make it beforehand. They just need to heat it up.
Yeah.
oh man, that's so sad of us. We just want somebody to serve us.
But we'll make it for us.
Yeah, I mean that is a really good one. Let me think. So my holiday would be.
And Cruz, you know what I'm saying? If you're ready to go, you're ready to go.
I'm still thinking.
All right.
Man, I really hate that you said that because I was thinking about that while you said that. So mine would probably be. It'd be a combination of holidays, actually.
Okay.
So I would take Christmas, suck out the religion of Christmas,
Respect.
and just be about like giving gifts to like support each other and like benefit humanity.
Shout out Kwanzaa.
Still stick with the colors. Green and red. Is that I'm uneducated. Is that what Kwanzaa is?
No, I don't know. No.
I mean, yeah, suck the religious aspect of it, and it'll just be like kind of like a John Lennon-esque, imagine all the people sort of group hug where everybody loves each other, exchanges gifts with strangers.
Sounds like some hippie bullshit. Right?
Yeah, exchanges gifts with strangers.
It sounds like it's gonna be followed by an orgy.
Okay, well, I was getting to the mass murder.
So
and
no
orgy.
kids.
Okay,
so
sorry.
no kids.
And then after midnight, it turns into the purge.
Okay, all right.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, I was
holiday
thinking
right there.
of throwing some purge elements into mine. Cruz, what do we got for the people? If you could create one holiday, what would it be?
The day Juan Cruz was born.
Oh,
Should be momentous.
A momentous
Moving right
occasion.
What day is that? Just to know.
October 29th.
Okay.
And that's close to a holiday.
It's Halloween. Just Halloween is your birthday.
Yeah, that's why I gotta make a new one.
Oh, that's true. Everybody's already.
Oh, man.
that's
So
right.
you're sad that like witches and ghosts and ghouls are stealing your thunder.
Facts, bro. I should be the only witch and ghoul.
Damn. At the same
I want
time.
my birthday. It's Halloween. Don't worry. Just dress up. It's your birthday.
Nah, but
Just
my
love
real
it.
holiday would be like a video game holiday. It's like one day where like everybody has a day off work to just like chill online.
Saturday.
I like that. Saturday. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. My holiday, ladies and gentlemen, would be key lime pie day. You know what I'm saying? And in that day, bro, if you want to show your affection, you just bring me a pie. You bring me a slice. You bring me a whole pie. I'm not going to complain. Just bring me key lime.
So the holiday is just for you then.
Bro, if you want to
for
give other
everybody?
people pie too, that's fine. But like,
He'll get over it.
yeah,
that's
I won't get jealous.
As long as I get the first
As long as I
slice.
get pie. Yeah. That would make me very happy.
That's good.
Beautiful, beautiful holidays from everybody involved. I thank you. I thank you. Julian, before we start wrapping up on this magnificent episode, I do want to know, what do you have in mind for the future regarding barbecue, regarding Gorilla City? I know we're kind of are we in the process of dropping the sandwiches? Yeah,
No, go ahead.
All right.
I'm just asking for a little cornbread.
Oh yeah, but by all means, the man's the only one that hasn't eaten around here. You know what I'm saying? Providing us with these decadent goodies.
I'm gonna wait to answer the question before I get.
But yeah, where do you see? Are we dropping the sandwiches because we're also expanding to barbecue as well? Obviously, we're not dropping the sandwiches from the menu. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No.
But yeah, what's the future looking like?
So the idea of creating this was, of course, to take over the world.
Gang, shout out Plankton, baby.
Yeah. No, I've always wanted to create something that would be. Well, everybody wants to build an empire, right?
Right.
But it's one of those things that, practically speaking, I would love to expand and do a brick and mortar and do something else, because my skill level and what I kind of worked at was more higher end, bigger style operations. So I feel that I'm ready for it, and I've created this in a way to be able to expand. I've made a cookie cutter, which means that I can take this and build it anywhere I want. So I've built this in a style that I can create something that I feel very proud of, but at the same time, I can put it anywhere. So from the business perspective is I can go to some investors and be like, hey, listen, I can create this for less than X and X amount of money. I can put it anywhere because I'm doing all this without an actual line kitchen hood. I'm making all this electronic, no gas, no nothing. So I'm creating a barbecue restaurant without this crazy need for a smoker, without this crazy need for a huge space to create all this. I can make this out of one single room and a little space on top. So I can make a huge menu, which I have over like 15 items, I can actually do 20 items and create this for pretty on the cheap and with no need for a full line kitchen.
Wow.
You know, so I've created it in that sense, and I do want to build it in the sense in Gorilla City, and it's in the name itself. It's not really pertaining to something. I did meats and sandwiches in the beginning because it was originally just sandwiches, and then I was like, well, I'm gonna have meats. Let's do meats because I wanted people to know what it is. But now that I'm kind of getting out there, I think Gorilla City, the name on itself, can be anything I want it to be. It could be barbecue and be whatever. So when people think of Gorilla City, I just want them to think of a good product, mainly barbecue. But if I wanted to do Gorilla City sushi,
Hell yeah, damn.
I partner up with
Teasing.
Teasing, you know what I'm
but
saying?
Again, that's for this
A little foreshadowing out here.
Yeah, just like a Marvel fan would do. Easter egg.
Easter.
Wait till the end of the credits, guys.
Or not even just sushi, but something a little bit more along the lines as like Latin cuisine and call it Gorilla City, but focus on Latin inspired type of cuisine or something a little different. I'm not holding myself to any particular box. And I guess that goes back to where I was growing up. Is like you can't put yourself around a specific box because then you don't allow other opportunities to come your way. Like just for example, if Gabe comes to me and be like, hey man, I'm looking for work and I really want to open my own spot. And you know, well, I have the money and I have this opportunity. Why don't you work with me and we can partner up and then we can do something else. Maybe it's Gorilla City or maybe it's something built by Gorilla City. You know, it's just something that the branding aspect, but I'm just holding myself open for anything. But I do want to open like 3 or 4 of them down in South Florida and do something that's a little bit more out there and push other people to do better, but also, raise the bar, push everybody to do better, but also help people come up along the way. Because my ideal goal, and this is if I make a lot of money, which I hope I do, is I just want to be like a small, like venture capitalist, small guy, and like help out small people to open their small little things too, and give them consulting and help, especially with the experience, and be like, that's a terrible idea. It's not going to do really well. Go back and workshop it, and then we'll do something better. Or this is a great idea. I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to give you X amount of money to be able to kind of push you somewhere else and be kind of an incubator. And that actually is a good way of transitioning to this event we're doing.
Okay, all right, little plug, shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
You've done this before.
So September 5th, actually, I partnered up with Tripping to do an event called Skip the Line.
Okay.
So this is an event we're bringing together 13 vendors, including myself. Half of them are kind of established restaurants that are doing really well for themselves. I have Chef Michael Beltran from Ariete and Chug's Diner. Alex and Lucci from Boya Day, Steve Santana from Tequiza, but also bringing some of the pop-up guys. It's because Miami right now has a really good pop-up culture.
Yes, it is.
So Chef Shaggy and Gabe himself from
Oh,
Hayochi are coming through. I have Ted from Ted's Burgers, Eddie from Wolf of Tacos. I have Michael Hernandez from Hungry Yokai. I always get his name wrong.
Bro, Midnight in Miami is going to be out there, bro. You can see us out there. You see, follow the Instagram so you can see all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You can see the poster as well on the screen. Please send that over so we can, you know what I'm saying, push that a little bit.
It's going to be fun. Incubators, you could say. Some people that haven't been too exposed, but are doing really big things and
Rising stars.
Rising
stars.
So yes.
Wow, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please give it up for our guest today, Julian from Gorilla City! Julian Uribe, thank you so much for dropping on by today. Can I just say that the food is life-altering? And I mean that down to my very core. You have a recurring customer within me. You know what I'm saying? Because boom, I walk a block, I do my cardio, and I get my barbecue. You know what I'm saying? That's beautiful. Last thing that I kind of want to get into, Julian, was it difficult to find that sweet spot when it came to sourcing your ingredients?
Yes, and no. Just because I say that, because barbecue is one of those things that it's mainly the process, and you're working with the meat that you get, but you don't have to get the highest of quality. Like, it's different from a steakhouse. Like a steakhouse is that steak that you're getting. There's no way of you going around that taste of what it is. But like, since I'm cooking something for 12 to 14 hours, it's mainly the process that I can take not the best quality of meat, but work towards making it the best quality of meat, because that process is what kind of pushes it. You still need decent quality, but again, I don't need a Wagyu ribeye in order to sell you a $100 ribeye, because the only thing you're tasting is that meat. It's like you're tasting the process as well. So I'm actually looking at a few purveyors to kind of upgrade a little bit. But right now, just shout out to Restaurant Depot, because they're the shit, and everybody in this city probably gets there. No, but I'm working with a few meat purveyors to kind of just get something that's a little bit more easier accessible, because I do have to really hunt and really go through, and specific days, if they don't have the meat that I want, I have to go the next day and the next day. So it gets a little bit tedious in terms of doing it myself, but you save a good amount of money. And right now, when you're in the beginning, you need to save every penny. But with the other ingredients, like with Sullivan Street, that took me a little while to kind of find them, because the bread was so important. And I found them, and I tasted a bunch of bakeries around South Florida, and they were kind of the best, and they were also the most consistent, which is something that is very big. And with bakeries, especially when you're doing wholesale, it's very difficult to get a consistent product. And again, like I said, if I give you the bread that tastes like this and tomorrow it's not great and I can't control it, that's terrible. So looking at, and then everything else, it's not necessarily the highest quality. It's just how you make it. Like the potato salad, I'm not getting like the highest quality potatoes for it. But, you know, I try to put it together in a way that is going to be very bright and accessible. And the beans are not like, I'm not making the beans myself. They are canned beans, but I'm doing stuff to them that's going to make them into something. I don't think you're going to go to a barbecue place and they're like, we make our beans from scratch. Right. It's like, no, I don't think you're soaking those bad boys. You know, like, I don't think so. So that's the thing with barbecue too. It's very homey in that sense that you're not necessarily have to do everything. Like, I do everything, like the sauce I do from scratch and all that stuff, but at the same time, the overall ingredients, you don't necessarily have to go to the farmer's market to get every single ingredient. It's how you present it and how you do it.
Wow. And last question of the evening, I also want Gabe to chime in on this one. Kind of touching back on the conversation of gimmicks and shticks and all that good stuff. Oh, it came out phenomenal, brother. Came out phenomenal. What do you guys think? You know, we spoke about the dining in the dark. We spoke about the brunches with the goats and all that good stuff. But what do you guys think about when a, I guess, quote unquote, celebrity chef opens us a spot, and not even maybe a celebrity chef, thinks Salt Bae, someone that kind of like seizes a social media moment and runs with it. The reviews for that restaurant were not good whatsoever. What do you guys think about that? Is that still part of the gimmicky thing? Is it not? Is it a respected? Is it a respected artist? And lastly, where's the line? You know, Gordon Ramsay, his restaurant's on fire or whatever the case. You know, he has a bunch of fire and stuff. Like, what? Where's the line?
Horrible.
There you go.
I don't think me and Gabe would ever go to one of those restaurants together and be like, hey, do you want to go to Salt Bae's restaurant? No.
Yeah, I doubt it.
The people that are going there are people that just want to be seen. And the reason why they work so well, and they only really work well in big cities like New York, Chicago, Las Vegas, Miami, is because you have people down here. And I remember through Juvia, we would get a lot of people that we could tell that they're New Yorkers and they're being assholes here. And we'd have some people and be like, hey, I know that guy. He's really nice, but he's an asshole here. Is because you come down here and you pretend to be somebody you're not.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
You're either with your mistress or you're with some friends.
Shout out Shaggy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or you're with your friends. And these places are just places that you're like, oh, I'm going to go over here because I heard it on social media and somewhere cool. And you have a lot of people. And the unfortunate thing is that a lot of the local Miami people, I've noticed, subscribe to this level of living, like on their own. Like, it's like they don't even have their money, but the reason why they have the money is because they live with their parents and shit.
Right.
So they go to these places and they're like, yeah, this is what I do all the time. Instagram. I'm a fucking at Kaido or whatever the hell the name is, or I'm at this place in Wynwood, or I'm at this place. And you're like, that place is really expensive and the food sucks. You know, I don't understand why you're there all the time. It's because you're either trying to get laid or you're trying to, you know, put something out there on social media or something to make yourself look like you're going to this place, but it's all garbage. You know, it's just, but again, it has its niche. And the problem is with Miami is that niche sells, and those restaurants make a shitload of money. And like Groot Hospitality is built on that. Like Groot Hospitality, shout out to these guys because they're doing it right, and he knows how to market, and he's lived, and he's done it, and he looked at it and he's like, I know how to make a lot of money. Let's make these places because all these people just want to be seen and want to be like,
He understands that better than
he understands. You could tell that this guy's really cool to chill with, and I know a couple people that know him personally. Like, yeah, he's chill. He just knows how to make a shitload of money because he makes this stuff, this aesthetic for the people that want that. And you know, and at the same time, honestly, half the people probably just do it because they're influencers and need to put it out there. So it's that gimmicky influencer level now with social media that before in the 90s, those places were few and far between.
How come there's certain places that were completely popping, and I'm correct me if I'm wrong, that were popping, and then out of nowhere shut down? I mean, and of course, money. I mean, I was thinking of Gigi's.
I know that whole story. That's not drug money.
that's a popular story amongst the.
But did it have anything to do with the pandemic? That place was
Gigi's. Gigi's closed like 6 years ago.
Okay,
yeah, that was more, let's say, mismanagement of profits,
because that place was you couldn't get in.
That's ownership, chef, profits stuff. Like talking. There's a difference between in Miami. That's funny. Like you say, Gigi's. And then you say other places. There's a lot of restaurants in Miami that open for a year or two, and they're just cash dumps and they're money laundering operations. You just go in, you spend as much money as you can to open this restaurant, and then, it closed. I have to do it as a loss. But you get that tax incentive and all that stuff. And do you know about that law that if you spend over $2 million in the U.S., you get a green card?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you got a lot of foreign investors that are like, "Whoa, I spent $2 million in the U.S. Now I have a green card."
And it's not just restaurants; it's other businesses.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah, but you see it as restaurants because they want to open it for a year and a half, pretend like they're the hot shit, which is cool, and then they close it and they have their green card and they have their whatever they need and they close it. That happens a lot in Miami too. But in terms of the Gigi, that's just a restaurant that got really big, really fast. And the initial aspects of the contract that was created before they opened was not set to make this amount of money. So then when everybody's like, "Where's my money?" then it just falls apart.
Can you go too big too fast?
100%.
Yeah.
That happens in Miami, I think, more than almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they're the audience or the eaters, I guess. They're not stupid at the end of the day. So like, when they see something good, they'll recognize it. Yeah, exactly. So if something is good, they'll like flock to it. And Miami is so full of like these like these empty shells of restaurants that people grow tired of that. So when they see something real and they eat something real, they respond to that. So those people that just like, pulled themselves up from their bootstraps and had a dream and wanted this little restaurant, all of a sudden they're getting all this attention. They can't deal with like so much volume, and the response is just to like, let's hire more people, let's get a brick and mortar, and things start spiraling out of control. And I've seen countless of restaurants that I really enjoyed, like not be able to handle that. So yeah, it's definitely possible to do that, and you have to be very careful to not succumb to that.
Sorry. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and you see that a lot. And again, being here for almost 14 years now, I know a lot of people in the industry that have been extremely successful. Like shout out to the guys, Gabe and a lot from Broken Shaker, and the crew behind them. I know Steve and Wash, where it was a big thing. A lot of people don't know the people that help everybody build it.
Yeah.
They're the faces of it, and they were definitely the first ones to think about the idea. But like, they were the first ones to kind of start building it. But then, there's so many groups. It's like Ben from Sylvester and Beaker and Gray. Ben Potts has a big thing. The Jose Mendine from Pub Belly. Like, there's so many guys now homegrown from Miami that are growing things that are kind of working, but they also have had things that they've grown too fast and kind of had to close and kind of had to restructure and do things in a lot of ways, and everybody's growing towards it. But Miami, again, like Miami's such a unique city that we don't have, sometimes we forget that we don't have enough people to actually support a really huge hospitality industry, because you're getting a lot of people that are just either recycling or just tourists, and then some of those tourists just want to go to these, gimmicky, high fancy places because they come down here to spend that money and want to.
In the beach, it's hard to find. There's good food in the beach, but you got to look for it, because a lot of the restaurants they're like, I can make a shit ton more money doing huge margaritas and like fried calamari, and then they'll just do that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an episode of colossal proportions. Can we please give it up one more time for our guest today, Julian Uribe of Gorilla City! Julian, thank you again for dropping by. Gorilla City, a name to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? They don't only do sandwiches. They got a wide array of food. I appreciate the foreshadowing, man. Look out for that sushi. You never know what could happen. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe there's a couple things before the sequel.
But if you check them out, man, get one of everything. Get one of everything. I'll tell you that. Get one of everything. Try everything. Cruz, can you attest to this? Man, that boy's running to the mic.
So Gabe mentioned something like he made you like something that you don't usually like. That happened here with the mustard. He like dumped the mustard all over the pork, and I was like, oh fuck. And then
sorry, I was trying to help.
No. But since you had given me like a naked piece earlier, I had tasted it without it, and I knew it was delicious. So I fucking devoured it. Like, that mustard did not stand a chance.
Right.
Regardless. Like, that
it's
is
a good
too
marriage.
good.
And it wasn't punch in your face mustard. It was like I don't know
There's
what
some
you did
sweetness to it. You get a little umami sweetness, like then just cleans the palate with the vinegar.
Phenomenal. Julian, where can the people, the audience, they clamor? Where can they find you? You know what I'm saying? If they got to try some of the sandwiches, some of the beautiful meats.
So I'm located inside of Tripping Animals Brewing Company. Great spot, great brewery. For me, it's the best brewery in Miami, but again, I'm biased. I'm inside of there. But no, their beers are pretty legit. I'm inside there. Whenever the brewery's open, I'm open. Tuesday through Sunday right now, mainly at night. On the weekends, I am open from 12 for lunch. If you come in and tell me that you heard the podcast, we will charge you double. No, but it's a really cool vibe. The brewery is amazing. So you get that brewery feel, you get amazing beer, and then you have the food and the barbecue. It's a really cool spot. So come check it out.
That's awesome.
And like I said, the event on September 5th, skip the line, check it out. Instagram is going to be really dope. It's all you can eat, all you can drink.
Oh,
as well.
man.
So,
I'm definitely going to be there, and I will go out on record and say this, that you are, by and large, my favorite barbecue spot in Miami, and some of the best I've ever had. And I've been to Austin.
Oh man, and he likes food. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you that much. You know what I'm saying? He knows his way around a barbecue. And bro, I can attest to that as well. As far as barbecue, and that's why I mentioned the whole asado thing. I've always been, hardcore.
We gotta go back to that.
Oh yeah. I've always been hardcore. Asado is OP, and because it's my background. And then one time I think we went to North Carolina for the lunar eclipse. I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of years back.
Sounds sexy.
Whatever. It was pretty sexy. Yeah. And we went to a barbecue spot, one of the most renowned, drenched in sauce. And that's not me. That's not me. Right. That's not me. This was not that, man. This I could put up there with asado, and they can battle it head to head. You know what I'm saying?
Words.
Those are huge words.
Huge words.
Massive words.
You got to make a key lime pie to put it up. A key lime pie in order to
Don't
put
get
it
me
above
started, bro.
What are we? Episode 91 right now?
91.
Episode. What? Let's put like.
What is it like?
Episode 200. Episode 200.
Hey,
if you want to make a.
I mean, that's more than enough time. Bro. That's like a year and a half away, bro.
Jesus, okay.
But truly phenomenal, man. I congratulate you. I congratulate you.
No, and I appreciate it. And thank you very much for having me. It's honestly my first time being on this type of medium, which is really cool. Thanks Gabe, for inviting me for this.
Hell yeah.
You are a professional, sir.
Yes,
Thank you very
yes,
much.
you are. And we would love to have you come back on again,
yeah,
brother. You know what I'm
to.
saying?
Love to.
What's the Instagram? Where can people follow you? Where can they see all the good stuff?
It's Gorilla City Meats and Sandwiches on Instagram.
Boom.
On Facebook. Do people still use Facebook for that stuff? Anyways, it's the same thing. I know they're tied in. And then the website is gorillacitysandwiches.com.
Beautiful.
But yeah, just look out. Instagram is mainly when I put a lot of the things out there. I'm trying to branch out, be a little bit more proactive on the online social media aspect.
Right.
But it is just me, so I'm trying to wear all these hats and just
For Julian on TikTok.
Yeah.
Ooh, I need to do some dancing.
There you go.
Need to get a little gimmick going. What would the gimmick be?
Damn.
Should I dress up as a gorilla and start eating fucking?
I mean, fat guys doing sexy dances, obviously.
Oh shit!
Oh, that could work.
He can't come anymore. He
No,
lost all the weight.
guys-
no, you have to be over 200 pounds.
Hey,
Don't talk about this over here.
Being fat is a mentality.
It is.
Yes, it is. No, that's true. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Bro, I'll just be in the corner making Boy Meets World references, bro. Honestly, like,
Topanga.
yeah. So please check them out. Seriously, try one of everything. You will not regret it. Everything is phenomenal. You can taste the amount
say
of
hi.
work.
Come
yes,
say hi.
Say hi. Kick it with the man.
I'm there
say
almost
hi.
all the time. If not, it's Javi, and he has a nice smile too.
Boom. There you go. You know what I'm saying? Look at that luscious beard. God, that's beautiful.
Yeah, you need a beard to do barbecue.
Damn, actually, now that I think about it, pretty much everybody that does beard.
Have you ever seen somebody that does barbecue and not have a beard?
I wouldn't
Think
trust
about
them.
it right now.
I wouldn't
Think about
trust
it.
them.
Not
No.
that I trust, yeah.
Right.
No, exactly.
Goes back to Ariana Grande, bro. Every Thursday at midnight. You know what I'm saying? What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? You go on YouTube, you go on Apple Podcasts, you go on Deezer, you go on Spotify, all that good stuff. But more than anything, you go on YouTube, man. Because that's how you see all the visuals, man. That's how you see the trays on deck. You know what I'm talking about? That's why we have all these beautiful visuals. You see the man's beard, you see the logo, you see all that good stuff. You see the stickers on the table. Boom, we about to deck it out in Gorilla City. You see that bite as well. I know that cornbread changed my life. I don't know about you, Cruz. That cornbread, phenomenal. Like, not even a question, best cornbread I've had in my life. Ooh. Hands down. Best, I like brisket, guys, try everything. Check them out on Instagram. You know what it is. Every Thursday at midnight. Holla. You can say how you feel on midnight in Miami. When you can push it to the